Good morning and welcome to today's live show. If you're not watching it live, make sure to tune into the last 15 minutes where we'll be doing a little bit of a breakdown. Sorry for being a little late this morning. I had to fix some car seat issues, but we're back and we got those daily ranges for you. A little bit of a busy time for Lucas, but that's all right. We got those daily ranges for you. Upside 507.87 and downside 499.19. So looking like we could be seeing some kind of push up. Remember, if we get above this, we can use it as support to go higher, maybe flip around this trend. If we start to break down, well, that would be this trend continuing. So if we build up towards that center line, we get to this area, watch for some kind of drop. But good morning. All we have to do to pay attention to the 30-minute here on the SPY is see if we can roll back down negative territory. That means lower prices are coming. So those are the levels for the key for this SPY, and then the Qs here we have 436.18 to the upside and 425.94 to the downside. Guten Tag. What up, Cash This, Junior, Donald, I like anime. Thanks for joining me this morning. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Now we're still waiting on this 2 hour to curl up. We got to see if this 2 hour can curl up for the SPY. That would kind of convince me, hey, there's some kind of a little bit better bounce going on here, right? A little bit better bounce. Want to pay attention to that because almost no sleep last night. Pretty much me too. Look at my eyes. I'm dying over here. TLT finally getting that little bit of a bounce, okay? So these yields are telling you, hey, we might want to drop off just a little bit. Remember, we have earnings tomorrow, and if Netflix mentions anything about inflation, affecting anything, that would be interesting. But one thing is the VIX, right? 2 hour able to curl down. Now, this one here is what I've been really paying attention to, and this can escalate as we cross the center line on the RSI, really shift that momentum down. But right now, the 30-minute looks like it's about to cross up. So you kind of have a moment in time where it's kind of, there's a way up and a way down. 2 hour continues, okay. 30-minute curls up and gets to this area. Well, that might just make another move higher, so we'll pay attention to that. Go make your tea. SMCI calls everything turning up, and SMCI looked pretty good, honestly. SMCI here, now it's coming up into a point where you could see that resistance step in, okay? So this 30-minute was able to most likely go positive at this point. Gotta wait for this to load for a sec. There it goes, going positive. Pretty good positive move, honestly. Pretty good. Divergence down here. But that's a pretty good move that we'll need to digest, most likely. I highly doubt we just see some kind of rapid move for no reason here, right? So if we get a reason, sure, but right now it looks like retest, probably going to consolidate if we want to break through, probably going to drop off if we want to see this roll back down. That would make some sense going forward. So one thing I want to look at is see how Bitcoin's behaving. All right, this one on I think it was a 2 hour, I saw the divergence right here. Now it looks like we may create that triple divergence. We'll have to see if we start to break below this level, not looking too good. But as we test this level again, if we don't break through this low, I'd say we could do something like this, test that level again, maybe get another point of divergence on this 2 hour, and maybe we see a explosive move to the upside. We'll have to see though, because it's hanging on by a thread, right? It's really hanging on by a thread here because the 4 hour not able to do much at this point. You see the divergence on the 4 hour, so Bitcoin not really telling us too much. But going forward, we just want to pay attention to mostly the SPY, probably a 30-minute chart, seeing if this thing can actually get to positive territory. That would be pretty big. What up, Aaron? Then the punk passes up after you got to get up. Yeah, that's pretty much what happens. I always end up sometimes searching around on my computer really late at night, like, 1, 2, 3 a.m., sometimes 5 a.m. I'm up. Which the market opens for me at 8:30, so when I have to wake up at 5, I'm like, oof. And I'm a night owl, to be honest. I like to stay up pretty late. I don't do that anymore now. Now late to me is like midnight, but now one thing about this area, we're still holding up, right? We're still holding up a little bit here. I have a heater on me. I'm going to turn that thing off. It's too hot. There, I moved it back a little bit. That heater was cooking me. My legs were turning into some fried chicken legs for a second there. Boy wore shorts today, and it was cold for a second. Didn't really have time to shower and get ready like I like to. Good morning, Bernie. Jose Rosario. Hola, hola. Let's see. Some people like hourly charts better. So if you see that confirmation there, like kind of as the 30-minute crosses, you can kind of see if like hourlies are crossing and things like that. You can see how the VIX hourly is down towards the center line. So that's kind of why I'm like, you don't really want this to pop up from here if you're bullish, right? So the Dow Jones, right? This had a bunch of little divergences down here with the hourly. So we're going to see if we can break through this trend. I think the Dow breaking through this trend would be a good sign for that trend change. Right, we break through, we start to do this a little bit, and then once we get to this level, maybe we get rejected, maybe we just continue up, but right now, you would say, possibly, could happen, right? We could break through this trend. High yield growth getting a solid bounce as well, so, you know, TLT, we're talking about the difference between TLT and the stock market. Well, TLT is showing green right now. High yield growth showing green right now. So take that into consideration. SPY heads higher, this move makes a little bit more sense. Top morning to you. I don't get it. Why is SPY not ripping? It kind of seems like it should be moving a little bit faster. It does. But as we are in between the daily expected moves, just be a little cautious. This could be a move up and then a move back down. The 30-minute getting towards that center line. Okay, so like this right here is where that resistance should come in. And then does that just roll us over? That's the question. But then we do have Netflix earnings and things like that. So if Netflix reports good earnings and says like, oh, we're not worried about inflation, we're not seeing this, we're not seeing drops in usage, we're not seeing all that good stuff, most likely we will see a good bounce. But it just as easily could be something negative, right? So it's a 50-50 flip on those earnings. Let's see what Netflix is doing as of right now. Trying not to cross, it seems like, but it very well might right before the earnings. You do have head and shoulders here as well. Left head, right shoulder, base down here. So this point right there, 603.75. Yeah, I heard that they were like posting that everywhere. They're certain to retaliate, but it's what's the retaliation? What's the level of the retaliation? That's probably what the market's going to pay attention to. AMD, this looks strong. Now it's looking weak again, right? So it was strong. Now it looks like it might curl down into negative territory. Yeah, that thing looks like AMD looks like might make another move down. Have to see what AMD's looking like. Hasn't even gone to its weekly expected move, so it could be doing that soon. So AMD looking like it's going to roll over. NVIDIA, this looks very flaggy at this point. Most likely it doesn't look the strongest as we get towards that center line and get rejection here. Not looking the strongest. Meta looks like another down move could come. Microsoft holding up a little better. Microsoft needs to hold up a little better. And Google holding up really well here. On the hourly, about to curl up. Positive territory. This could be something to play in the future. I can sell, get out of some hedges here. And And cool. All right. So the SPY, we're not really doing anything crazy. Looks like AMD could roll down again, right? It just looks like that right now. We'll have to see if that actually happens. We still need this to really cross over into negative territory for that negativity to really come. But if that negativity does come, we could flush pretty good, right? We could flush pretty good. So we want to pay attention to anywhere we could see this thing hold up. Look at those touches on this trend right here. This one not able to fully get it, but what if we come down to something like this? What if we break down even further, right? We could go down all the way to 153-ish for AMD here. So that's what I'd be paying attention to for AMD, looking at my monthly expected or weekly expected moves. And then also, if I'm going to get towards that weekly expected move or something, see if we can create that divergence that's really close to positive territory. That might be pretty telling for AMD. It looks like AMD wants to have some kind of pop, at least seeming from this area here. So if we go down to that level, that's going to be interesting. And we need these bonds to probably participate a little bit better, right? That's what I would overall be saying. The 2 hour not even able to curl up at this point for TLT. 10-year, you're seeing the divergence is playing out, but TLT not fully getting a sustainable bounce from here. The dollar, what's this guy doing? Starting to come back down towards the center line. If that curls up, not the best news for the market. Volatility dropping off, starting to drop off pretty dramatically. So a big move could be coming. But it's just interesting because AMD is showing some weakness. So some stocks are saying, yeah, we're going to head higher, but AMD not necessarily saying that at this point. Maybe I want to pay attention to something else, something that could curl up into positive territory, you know? Stretch, stretch, stretch. Because Google, that's a pretty strong move there. 30-minute definitely able to curl up. Hourly about to curl up. That's crazy. Google sees such a strong move. Very strong move from this level. See, that's kind of taking out the this is kind of taking out the whole, oh, we have a flag, right? It's kind of violating that. So now you might get something like a head and shoulders up here, actually. We may do something like this. Netflix really starting to drop off with that. AMD trying to hold up. Oh, let me look at the chat, make sure no one needs some ranges or anything like that. Down 10%. Yeah, Tesla's still very, very weak at this level. Now it needs to bounce from this level, right? This is a very important level. But Tesla, just so you know, that's a lot of bad news all at once. So a lot of bad news all at once will, really damper it. Now we can see if that just goes sideways, builds towards the center line, and then we see that drop again. So really just pay attention. If this can go like that and then drop, well, now you've got some space here on the MACD, so you could see another push lower. SMCI, damn, strong move coming up. Retesting some key levels at this point. AMD not able to fully break down as of right now. High yield growth really wanting to bounce here. Just a lot of stuff looks flaggy. The overall market looks kind of flaggy, but let's look at the SPY for a little while here. Dropped like crazy. You can always wish. Looking back, you can always wish. Yeah, I wouldn't get into that negative loop of being like, man, if I only would have. Because everyone would say that about NVIDIA. Man, if I would have bought calls for 2 or 3 months out when it was worth, $200, I'd be rich. Oh yeah, let's see what gold is doing. GLD today. This is the one I saw rolling over. I still think this rollover is going to take place. Which could mean there's rotation. There's rotation into some other stocks, right? This could be rotation into, the SPY and the Qs. So we could see that rotation happen. But as of right now, you're not seeing that. This is not strong by any means. Really, this market should be getting some big swings with volatility where it was yesterday. And we're really not getting that anymore, right? We're getting one big downswing and we're not getting anything up. So this trend can continue if we just keep sitting in this area. Now, if you wanted to, cup, handle. I mean, I guess technically if we went like 5-minute, you would say maybe this is the cup, right? With this wick here, maybe this is a handle. We're going to see some kind of move up like this. So some kind of move up like that. And then you'd say, okay, are we able to hold above the daily expected move at that point? That's what I'd be paying attention to. Apple, this one, probably 2 hour. Okay, 2 hour down towards that center line. Maybe I want to look at an hourly for a little closer look. Okay, still flagging at this point, though. Looks a little bit different than like Google. Google looks like a strong move getting out of some consolidation here. So Google looks just a tiny, tiny bit better. Will it create a divergence here that then breaks down? We'll have to see. Or will it, start to base out, go a little bit higher? That's something with Google we'll pay attention to, but it barely was able to hold in this level. It did not want to fully give up this trend line right here. AMD just dropped 1% or 0.5% from where it was out of kind of nowhere. So 30-minute able to cross. Ooh, not able to cross just yet. We have some time. Now we're seeing things start to rotate down. Gotta keep flipping, guys. Flipping, flipping, flipping all the time. Hear all the clicking? I'm moving all around right now. It's reacting to, replace orders by the end of day. I'm going to keep this one. I'm going to keep my TLT play just in case. Because if we see a downward move and we see HYG and TLT moving up, we could get some kind of bounce. AMD, that's a pretty strong bar there. We need like one more confirmation on this. So pay attention. AMD is one to really watch closely. And then that could just make a quick move down like this and be done. All right, chat, what we doing today? How's everyone looking? Nvidia's tanking. There it is, Nvidia up towards the center line. If this starts, it's breaking this trend. This is pretty flaggy at this point, so you'd say maybe another move like this is coming, right? So where would that make us end up? And it probably will be smaller this time, but where would that make us end up? Well, somewhere like 836. So I think that'll hold up a little higher. Maybe we only go down to like 841. I think 841 would be a solid level, but AMD down now 1.16%. So not looking the prettiest. All right, we're going to leave that there. It looks like lower might be the move for now. Now, one thing we have to pay attention to for the Qs, that weekly 20 is kind of what I've been thinking could happen. Maybe we come down and touch that, and then we see that buying back up. So the SPY, a little bit similar, right? Maybe it comes down to the 20, and then we see that buy back up, which your daily expected move is right on top of the weekly. So that daily and weekly move will be very, very strong. Maybe that'll count as our test of the 20 at that point, and then we'll see some upward price action, but that might be very dependent on earnings tomorrow. Arguing for you since yesterday, Powell is hawkish. Yeah, Powell was kind of like, I thought it was more of a dud, but he said some hawkish things, some dovish. But overall, I think with the sentiment of the market right now, you're going to see it as hawkish. Oh, I got a play on the bond market. I've got one investment and one option trade still. Seems like a solid strategy. Hopefully you can keep a little bit of an eye on it. Yeah, so you think the bond market might go, you think TLT might go back down to 82.50? Yeah, everyone's avoiding bonds. Doesn't mean I can't try to take a play on it. Stumbles said nobody wanted to be in the bonds. Bond auction this afternoon will confirm that. And I think you're right. The bond auctions have been horrible. Just still pay attention to the Dow. If it breaks this, then most likely the Dow kind of signaling like, hey, there's an upward move coming. Let's look at those bonds too. That's a good jump up, but is it enough? I don't know if it'll be enough. VIX looking like it wants to curl up into positive territory again on this 30-minute. Yeah, 15-minute divergences across the way here. Look even smaller for a sec. I know it's going to be wonky, but there you go. So 5-minute curls up, positive territories there. If it wants to, right? It doesn't have to do any of that stuff. All right, attitude. Good now. It's just not the best looking divergences, even on a 5-minute, 15-minute. You got one steep one right here. One thing about volatility too, you have to pay attention to the bigger time frames, 4-hour crossing over, things like that. Now, these were kind of brief sometimes, right? So we were brief a little bit here, come back up, brief a little bit here, maybe it comes back up, and then up in this area is where I'll pay attention to some divergence. But as of right now, seeing some stuff go a little lower. AMD able to hold up, so not really printing a crossing of the MACD down. That's something to pay attention to. It really needs to confirm that downward move. As of right now, still looking pretty flaggy. Still flaggy, though, this way. Flagging in the overall market, flagging in the SPY pretty much. So Amazon, I think Amazon wants to hold up. NVIDIA broke down, still within its flag probably. You know, you can see, right? You can kind of see how it's just gradually, boom, right? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So it does look very flaggy. We could make that second move down, but we'll have to see if that's actually going to print, right? We got to see what's actually going to happen. This monthly really acting as resistance now, so you really probably need some good news, like really good news to change the sentiment of this market at this point. These look like they really want to roll back down, right? They look like they want to roll, so... But, you know, we can pay attention to any kind of divergences we form here. If we get some kind of flush, we can pay attention to that 500 level. Remember, 5,000, 500, we gravitate towards those whole numbers. It would make total sense for us to get there. And then we can pay attention to what happens from there. But as of right now, if you went a little bit lower, it wouldn't look very good. UVXY could start to push. So if this just crosses up on the 30-minute positive territory as we get to the center line, maybe we make another point of divergence up here around 42.50. That would make a lot of sense. It would make a lot of sense. But we haven't seen anything curl down. We haven't seen anything curl up yet. So we have to be patient. I moved out of my position, so I have the positions ready to go. If things start to cross over, all I got to do is hit the go button, right? Because AMD is starting to buy back up. So this isn't confirming a cross down just yet. Still a little bit flaggy in this area. VIX is not traded directly, which means that the RSI or MACD readings for the VIX may not provide conclusive or accurate representation of market sentiment. Very, very true, George. That's why you want to look at it and something else at the same time. If you're trading the VIX and you're using signals and things like that, you want to make sure to see similar signals on the SPY and the Qs, or most likely the SPY, right? Because that's what it's mostly tracking. So if VIX here, it looks like, oh, the 30-minute wants to curl up. Well, does the SPY look like it's at a resistance point where it could curl down? Well, it very well could. It's flagging and things like that. So it would make sense for another downward move, and the VIX kind of with that is telling you it. But you are right in saying that the volatility here, it does just kind of do this over time as well, right? So if this doesn't go positive, if we don't see some kind of big move from the VIX, well, then that big move is probably not coming. It might just fade back down. I think still 154, but is Tesla breaking down further? So Tesla breaking down through that 154 level. This is kind of the 15-minute is probably your friend here. Is that going to curl over? Look at that. It gets towards the center line. Now it curls over. Where could this land? Well, let's go find another point where we could go touch. And I think a lot lower seems likely, but you'd probably say there's a bundle in here. So this little zone right here would probably be important. Remember, we like zones a little bit better when we're paying attention to these. So probably something like this zone down here it could hold up in. Right there. I think that looks pretty good. Let's get rid of that. Let's just do this. Because that looks like the zone right there. So if this curls over, right, on the daily, right, it's already curled over on the daily. So if this wanted to come into this zone and then confirm a triple divergence, I might be playing Tesla to some upside. I know that's crazy. It's before earnings. See if that pop comes before earnings. That would be nice. But I highly expect Tesla to produce not the best numbers. That doesn't matter, though. I don't want to play a 50-50 flip, so I'm going to be chilling. I'm going to be chilling, paying attention to other things, but that would be cool to see a triple divergence for Tesla. You can even take a chance on that, but I just would always put a stop in. Yeah, SPY does not. It looks pretty flaggy. It looks like it wants to tear down from here. Like, let me just switch it. If I switch it to a 15-minute, what does it look like to you? You know, that's the thing. Like, I like my 30 minutes crossing for confirmation and things like that, but this 15-minute does not look good. It's up towards the center line. That crosses down negative. Well, then you're most likely going to take out these lows. If we start to close below here, well, we're going to target that 500 level, that is our daily and weekly expected move, and then we might see some buying up from there. But pretty cool. You can just pay attention, see if we get some kind of divergence like this. Would be pretty telling going into the end of the week here. I guess we're just middle of the week, but AMD able to hold up a little bit right there. So we just want to see if this volatility is actually going to crack to the upside, get a big push here. This would be telling. Remember, we're in a time where big swings are there, so we could get a big swing up from the VIX, swing down in the SPY, and then that swings right back up once we see a divergence or we test the 20 level. Yeah, Georgie, and I totally agree. We gravitate towards those whole numbers, so, and especially with those moving averages down there, it's looking pretty good. But we got to make sure we're rolling over and doing all those things, right? We got to make sure the SPY on the 15-minute, maybe we just want to watch that for just a little bit, see if that's able to curl over and go negative. Well, then I can try to target some areas. If that goes negative, I can target the bottom wick, and then I say, okay, now I can move my stop. And then if I get past that wick, I can say, all right, this is going to be my take profit. Boom, touches that, take profit. or if you make enough money by down here, right? And then we see this happen, get a divergence, and then we get a solid bounce like you're talking about. More of a dead cat than what we're getting right now. Us scooping up in this area, now we're kind of showing the monthly here, that monthly expected move. The bottom side, we're outside of it. Remember, we end back inside of it. You have a 68% chance to land in here by the end of this month. And you only have a, like, what, after this week, we have like a week. So that just tells me if I do something like this, the probability is I bounce from here because I'm outside the weekly. If I do something like this, the probability is 68% chance I bounce to here by Friday. Who's to say that's not going to do this? We use this as a neckline towards the end of the month and we see left head and right shoulder. That would be very, very cool. But till we see that selling come in, we can't really, put too much on it. It's normal for stocks to, go down before earnings. It's normal for stocks to go up before earnings. You just don't want to read too much into it because at the end of the day, it's a 50-50, right? At the end of the day, they report good numbers or bad. And if you're paying attention to a stock and you know what they're going to print, please tell us. We would love that information. But as of right now, it's like, a 50-50 split. So 50-50 is not good enough for me. I like to wait for the odds to be in my favor to give me a little bit of an edge. Now the Qs look like they're kissing. They're about to roll over. So this is kind of the trigger. Now what I would pay attention to is probably the daily expected move. I think that's got a good shot of holding up. I think down here would be a great test. We do something like this, and then we go like this. Boom, you get that divergence here on a 15-minute going into the end of the week. It would be very, very good. But just know it can escalate through those levels. But right now, stocks aren't crashing dramatically. It seems like we're going to wait for the next piece of data. And today we don't really have data. We have some auctions, I think, bond auctions. But tomorrow we get Netflix. So tomorrow Netflix and things like that. Let's see who has earnings tomorrow. All right, let's go. Calendar Thursday. We have Netflix, some bank holdings, some banks, Ocean First Financial. Those are the main ones. So I think Netflix is going to have a lot of it riding on it. Expected to have decent earnings, honestly. Very, very cool. Oof, that is rough. All right, crossed out negative territory. There's the flush. And that's kind of what I think will happen to them. I think we'll see a flush eventually. I think that volatility is going to spike for a second, but we'll have to see if that actually happens. Right now, volatility is turning up, or it was turning up a little bit with the SPY dropping off, but not getting that confirmation up just yet. So AMD is still not able to cross. It looks like it's about to. So be very cautious with AMD to the upside. Be cautious with pretty much anything to the upside. Even this Google move to the upside could get faded at this point. So that's something to pay attention to. Netflix, this could roll down. And then test this level down here. I think if it tests this 604 again and then sees good news, right, it's a 50-50 flip. So I have a good area to put a stop in if that happens. If I see this happen, right, boom, like this, double bottom, I just keep my stop right at that double bottom. SMCI starting to fade. Palo Alto setting up what looks to be a lower high at this point on the 30 minutes. So it looks like some stuff might roll over. We still need another probably hour to really pay attention to this type of stuff. I think the overall stock market, like the Qs, showing pretty good here. So we'll pay attention to the Qs on a 15 minutes, see if that's able to go negative as of right now. Eyes are killing me this morning. Thank you guys so much for liking and subscribing. You guys are always good about that. I appreciate it. Arm to break below 115 and hold. Silver is pressing resistance. Did small retest, might break up, and so the inflation play is still there. I would just say the data we got with the new builds and things like that was actually a little bit less for that inflationary play, less for the hedging to gold and silver, less for the oil going higher. But we don't read into that piece of data too much. I think right now it's more about the war and things like that. If things start to escalate with war, you're going to see those things push up, right? So if Israel does some kind of retaliation, you're going to see oil get more expensive most likely. And let's see what oil looks like, by the way. I think we were looking at this on a 2-hour for oil here. Just seeing that it's still flagging. We're still flagging. You actually almost have a double bottom divergence down here. So oil could get another push, right? If you want to trade that USO, see what's happening with this guy. Well, it's down towards the center line. Might be a good chance for a push higher for US oil. Dollar is overextended, and I've been paying attention to that. But note this, remember, the market can go up while the dollar goes up. The market can go down while the dollar goes down, while the dollar goes up. So in this time, at least, right, normal correlation is dollar goes up, stocks go down. But we've kind of been fighting against that for a long time. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see some funky business going on. All right, so Q's here. We just need to pay attention, I'd say, to the next 15-minute bar. We'll pull up oil maybe at the end and really look at it. If I don't have to like leave or something, but if we have time. But I mean, I mean, it's pretty much just a, it's above the daily. So getting a retest somewhere around the 20. Sitting in our zone we're paying attention to. But we want to see, does that curl up? Because it's above the 200, does that just curl up and take back these moving averages and then cross into positive territory? You're probably seeing another move in oil if that does happen. So that might cause the volatility to actually spike, which is something we're paying attention to this morning on the 30-minute, seeing if that can just curl up into positive territory. At this point, it hasn't. But once we actually start to break down, I'd say once we see the SPY crossover on the 15-minute or something like that, that's when it would be more telling. But look at that. We've built up towards the center line. Now it's kind of the moment of, are we going to cross down? Are we going to cross down and confirm some downside here? Or are we going to cross up and see a strong move to try to retake some of this stuff up here? That would make sense. Both would make sense. There's an argument for both. Right now, I'm leaning towards a move down, then some kind of move up in the future here. United Airlines. We haven't looked at United in a while. Oh my goodness, that's just an earnings play there. Not really anything to go off of too much, right? Just 2 hours still down here in negative territory. It gave you divergences before, so you probably had 30-minute divergences all throughout here. Yeah, you do. You have divergences all the way back, but that would have taken a while to scale into. And once again, it's earnings. So earnings is a 50-50 flip. This was a negative trend. But yeah, you get good news and boom, that thing skyrockets up, right? That's just why you kind of got to be careful with the earnings. If you were short, you just want to stop maybe around this area, stop around this area. If I was long, I'd want my stops. If I'm short, I want a tight stop. I want a very tight stop. But this might have screwed that option. I don't know if you'd be able to even get out with your stop on that one. Nail or HGX, that's mainly what I want to pay attention to. It's still flagging at this point. So nothing to go off of there. The Dow not able to break through as of right now. So IWM looks weak too. This is about to break out through a zone. So this zone's been very important for a long time. So this would be very, very scary for IWM. Let's see if any 15 minutes were able to cross as of right now. I think the Qs were just about to. There it is. There's your kind of confirmation that we're probably heading towards the weekly expected move. That purple line down there. So for the SPY, now we want to see if it follows suit. Does it follow suit and go down towards that 500 level? Oh, God. Okay, we'll look at it. We'll look at it. There's a bounce here. Hey, look at that. Where'd we head to? 2278. Be a little cautious, right? Building up towards the center line, even though this is a strong move. There is some selling in it. You see these red bars, not necessarily. I would just say you'd more likely want to see like green, 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 base out, green, 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 right? We want to see some good structure in the move. As of right now, it could be dead cat because you see some selling within that move. So we could just roll over and create a divergence. Where would we create this next divergence? That's the big thing. Where would we create this next divergence? Maybe down in our zone. This zone down here, around that 19 to 16 level, right in this area, could be very good if we do something like this. That would be pretty telling. Maybe we get a divergence down there. That's what I'd pay attention to with DJT. So I even might be looking at DJT soon, and I might make weekly ranges for it next week. And I can send it over to you, Willow, or something, if you're on Patreon there. Or since if you take the course, you can do it that way as well. Now, remember, volatility, we need to curl up on a 30-minute. So this needs to go positive. Not just curl up, we need to go positive. Oh, that's right. You said soon. You said once I save enough or I lose enough, I'll do it. SPY's getting smoked. Okay. Let's see. Is it able to roll over on this 15-minute? That will be very telling. If it's not, and we get rejection from here, you're in liquidity, so you really need to start seeing this thing bust. But we do have... I'm really leaning towards the downside with this curving of the MACD. And the Q is kind of confirming. Holding up at the low, right? Holding up at the low. We'll have to see, but it looks like downside's coming. No real trade setups just yet, but if we see some by the end of the day today, we'll probably put out a video over on Patreon. On Friday. Who's on Friday? None? Interesting. Two-thirds of y'all bring shame and dishonor to your family. It's alright. Like the video if you want to. I'm pretty tired today. You guys can't tell. Baby girl, she's had like a lot of like mucus and it's been really making her squeal, so. But she's talking a lot. She literally said, hello. And I know parents are probably like that, but I said, hi. And she goes, hi. And I was like, we literally were like, that was creepy. Willow says, like the video because he said so. Hey, I just appreciate you guys being here, seeing if this MACD can curl over. Already happened on the Qs. So the Qs have kind of decided and said, hey, I'm going down. Unless some buying back up happens from here, like the market makers don't want to lose this level. That's what I would pay attention to. But I think that a retest of that 20-week moving average would be pretty good. AMD, this one really starting to curl down at this point. Let's see if that 30 minutes able to cross. That's the thing we're paying attention to. Oof, that does not look good. It's out of the flagging at this point. Looks like we could head down. I'd be paying attention to weekly expected moves for AMD today. But if we're able to hold up at some trend here, we might see that hold up a little bit better. Do something like 156, 157. Maybe even at this low. I'm waiting to be the 69th. Apple showing strength. Let's go check that out. It's still within its flag, just so you know. If we break this down to a 5-minute, doesn't that look like a flag? Right? It just does. Now, it's not going to be a straight-up flag a lot of the time, but look at that. It's flagging. This is not buying. This is not solid buying at this point. This is just flagging on a short time frame. 15-minute getting close to the center line could roll over and go negative here. But the good part about this is we might see some tests of the bottom side weekly expected moves. And that would be very, very good because that means we might see some trades set up. And then we can put a video out on Patreon later this afternoon showing off some of those and talking about them. I'll definitely do that if we start to hit some weekly expected moves. And if it's happening really fast, I might just post pictures and give that video later. But, you know, I think a video is way more helpful. Look at that. It wants to. Still hasn't printed yet, so you got to be like, did it. But since I got Lucas to look at it, DGT has had put call ratio heavy puts since I got into it. And so you want that sentiment to change. Still, heavy puts can cause that downside at first. It's once you start to see a slight shift to the call side that actually we see that bounce. So it's kind of like you have a range like this. And when the puts go above that, like cross through it, that's pretty bearish. And then once we peak out and come back down towards the call side, that's when usually you see the big bounce come. Bitcoin's dumping. Ooh. Okay, now this one, 2 hour. This is where we pay attention. 2 hour. Remember, we're paying attention to a triple divergence for Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin sees that, you can probably expect BITF, right? This is flagging still, it looks like a little bit. There could be some consolidation in here. Well, it kind of broke through the flagging, I would say. Broke through a head and shoulders here, maybe. Left head, complex head and shoulders, or just a triangle that's deciding to go this way. So not looking good there. Coin, this one as well, just dropping. So not really any flagging actually on BITO, but I just want you to pay attention. 2 hour, kind of comparable to a 30-minute chart for Bitcoin. And hey, Alan, what up? And so I would just pay attention if there's any buying in this area. Gold, what's gold wanting to do from here? Looks like gold might roll over. SPY, we still got to see. Ooh, that's not a good looking 2 hour bar there. That is not a good looking 2 hour bar. All right, let's just leave it on the SPY for a little bit. All we have to do, see if this rolls down and see if we can get towards 500. Try to keep it very simple. Simple is good. La 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 la. Oof. I still want to see that curl over on the 30-minute for NVIDIA and AMD. There it is. There's your red. There's your red bar for AMD. Looking for more downside than that, though. Tesla's trying so hard to hold up right at the top of our... Well, we made a new zone, right? So this zone down here looked pretty important. I know it's kind of big. It's a big zone. But Tesla moves pretty crazy. So Tesla could be setting up a triple divergence on the daily. Could be rolling over on the 15-minute to create some kind of divergence down here. You're outside of the weekly expected move. I would expect a little bit lower. But if this divergence holds, you know, that was a big reaction. You could get some kind of bounce. I'd just be cautious with it. What's volatility doing? We're kind of bouncing around a lot today. 15-minute not positive, 30-minute not able to curl up and go positive just yet. Once this 30-minute goes positive, I'm convinced, hey, yeah, we're going to see some kind of strong push in volatility. Till that happens, not looking likely yet. Especially you got VVIX dropping down. Dollar looking like it's got possibly another move up here. Look for this 2 hour to curl up. Maybe an hourly is better, right towards the center line. See if that curls up. It really looks like hourly of VIX towards that center line. We could be getting another push of volatility come very, very soon. So just paying attention here. See if this is able to confirm any downside. What are we talking about? Microsoft about to turn red on the blink if it could hold here. Microsoft's another one, probably a 30-minute. Let's look at the 15 real quick. Let me let that MACD pop up. Yeah, 15-minute starting to curl down. 30-minute probably has some room in it too. So if that curls down, bottom side weekly expected move, what I'd pay attention to with Microsoft, somewhere around 410. Right around this area here is where that weekly expected move is. I'm just giving some weekly, like some, not really putting it on the charts, but at least telling you where it is, because this is a dramatic time where you could see a big selling bar out of nowhere for a few hours, and then by tomorrow we're bouncing. So I don't want to be like leaving people out in the dust. I think it's a good week to just be like, hey, yeah, you can expect it to go to this level. Look at 250 on the daily. Oh, are they kissing? Oh, they're kissing. Uh-oh, there's a green bar finally from the volatility. Oh my goodness. Now, okay, here's one thing about this. When this does cross, this just means the crash scenario is there. You still have to hold up at that 50 and hold above the 200. So even if we do something like this, we could react down, bounce off that 200 in that 50, and then see the next spike. So you could get a few days here of positivity before that volatility comes back in. And now this is crash scenario though, so you have to be aware this could just keep going. Kind of depends on how the weekly closes, I think, but not a very good look right there. Ooh, we got rid of the green bar. Damn. So close, yet so far away. SPY just doesn't want to really fully give us that confirmation down, which is interesting, but are the Qs still breaking down? Not necessarily. I mean, technically, 15-minute divergence would be there right next to positive territory, technically. Apple's starting to see a strong move now, so now this is starting to see something. Right, if I look at a 30-minute, if we can get above these wicks here, right, you'd say the flagging is kind of done. Remember, all those calls came in yesterday. Now it's to the put side. 0.88 as of the finish yesterday, so a little bit on the call side, just barely. Oh, that looks so flaggy, though. That's true, it could be. It could just be filling this gap and then wants to head up from here. We'll have to see. This unconfirming as of right now for AMD, but you do have a few minutes left, and you have a whole nother bar coming next. SMCI, seeing some buying up still. Mara not looking pretty. Google, this was a strong move. This would be good if it could hold. And Netflix was confirming the downside on this bar. We'll have to see if that holds. HYG kind of fading right now. Just a difficult market this morning. My opinion of Apple, I mean, I'll try to be consistent with it and just say, I think that Apple could make a move lower just to test these lows down here, and then we'll have to see. I think a 15-minute rolling over would really be good, and then we hold up at these lows around 167. If not 167, I'm probably targeting something like, I don't know, probably just 167. Right now, you're hitting your head on the weekly expected move. You're outside of it. You're hitting your head on it right here. So you have to get back above that for me to say anything bullish, right? Until we actually get maybe we get some divergence down here. You'd be outside the weekly expected move, 15-minute divergence, maybe a 30-minute divergence forms, and then we see a big bounce. So it looks like some trades could set up for next week or for going on into next week. But at the same time, you have to be a little bit like, well, it can also escalate down here. So the fact that you're making another downward move might not be the best news because you're pretty below that weekly expected move. So I would say downside looks likely, but if we can get back above that 170 level, like pretty firm, then I'd be happy with that to the bull side. Oh, I'm trading like water today. But yeah, Apple looks like a flag. Doesn't mean it can't just start to rip, though. So just be cautious with it. And Trade like water, right? You can trade like water the whole time. By the end of the week, the percentage chance for it to end above that level is higher than going down from there. Then closed a put and took a call, made 2K. Now MU won't go back up. Looks like negative momentum is dying, though. Stocks are one missile away from a crash. And that's true. You're in an area here where a crash scenario is on the table, right? Someone was just pointing out that VIX crossing maybe the 50 to the hundreds very, very soon. Goog's fading, yeah. I kind of felt like Google would fade that move if it was going to keep that strength. It's just the volatility looks high. Or it looks like it could pop. It's not yet, though. That's the thing. The more this the more this continues to not pop, the more you're convinced of upside. You see how that's rejecting? So if this continues to just do trickle down, then you're probably just going to see buying up. Maybe that 2 hour needs to get close to the center line or something. But the Dow not confirming, breaking through a new trend. Apple, yeah, it's getting a strong move, but it's getting rejection probably right at that weekly expected move because we're outside the bottom of it. Tesla, this thing not looking the strongest. Could base out at these lows. Amazon looking like it wants to flag sideways. Does that end up confirming down? Well, we'll see. NVIDIA kind of flagging here, kind of confirms some downside, but we do have some buying at these lows here. So that's something to pay attention to. AMD, similar story, didn't even come and fill this gap though. So I would say AMD really looks like it wants to curl down, doesn't it? I mean, you kind of have to. If we're going to see AMD curl back up, you'd probably say some kind of really good news or some kind of manipulation from here, because this is really just saying the pressure is still here to the downside. Meta, similar story, looks like it might curl down, but if that rejects, that's perfectly fine. You can pull up a 15-minute here. See if there's any kind of divergence, and guess what? You got one. So you got a divergence on the 15-minute for Meta here. So if that confirms some upside, we can see a bounce from this level. It's not unheard of. Swing to trade to 480 on the SPY. You think 480 is the number? I still think 500. And they might do that, Carlos. They could do that at any moment, and it would put us under so much pressure. It'd be insane. I mean, technically, that would be divergence. SPY didn't want to break down for us just yet. Trying to see if I see any funky business going on. Ooh, Bitcoin. Look at that triple divergence, though, on Bitcoin. $480 in June. I don't know if you want to look that far out. We could see some kind of big buy up from this level. What if things just what if things overseas just start to say, oh, a ceasefire or something? Then the market might explode. And Bitcoin is leading for the most part, but Bitcoin actually got a sustainable bounce to retest, and I don't think we necessarily saw that like on the S&P 500, right? I don't think we necessarily saw a sturdy retest. I mean, if you want to count this, look kind of flaggy, right? But then we tried to go above that, see that fade, but I just don't know necessarily if that's something to really look at. I would just say Bitcoin heading lower, making a triple divergence is a good sign for Bitcoin actually to head up if we can shift that momentum around. Opinion on Tesla is it really doesn't want to break through where it's at right now. That's my opinion. Remember, this zone is very large. So once you start to go into this area, you can really hold up anywhere in this area here. I know it's big, but if you just look on the daily scale, we don't really have a ton in this area to hold us up, breaking through this low. And what's over here? Well, a big zone of liquidity. So this whole zone here could be important. Now, what do I think happens? I think we get a triple divergence down here and we see what happens before earnings, right? I think we get a triple divergence. We see if that can confirm And then boom, we see this thing start to rocket up maybe. That's what the momentum's telling you. It's telling you the momentum's dead. 15-minute telling you that as well. Keys flagging. But no big push from the volatility just yet. No big push. If anything, it's fading back down. Dow looks like it wants to cross down though too. I still think we make a move down and then we have a move up later on. Thought Bitcoin would act like gold. Stand corrected. No, Bitcoin will crash. At the end of the day, Bitcoin's a tech company. It is not a conductor. It's not a valuable asset, honestly, until it actually has some overall use in the overall like currency markets, I would say. Now, it's as valuable as people make it. That's what it is. It's pretty much just like, you know, marketing a new company 101. It is, well, if I make a new company, how big will it grow? Well, here in America, how it works is you grow your business as big as it can. The market decides how big it'll grow, not necessarily the product. You just pay attention to the product. If people see value in it, well, it will grow. How high will it grow? As big as the market thinks it is valuable. But a lot of people relate this to like tulips way back in the day, things like that. So that just means people thought tulips had a bunch of value. They put a bunch of value in it. It really had no value because it didn't have an actual use. Now, do I think there's an actual use for Bitcoin? Yeah, I think there is. But are we there to the point where that use is actually usable? I would say no, we're not. So that just tells me I think Bitcoin does have the chance to go down to something like, you know, I have that zone from $13,000 to $3,000 pretty much, and I think we'll head towards there. Not like now, but I think it's possible for Bitcoin to go all the way down to those levels. And that is a big move from Bitcoin. So if it is leading us, right, if it's leading us in any way, then we would say, oh, some kind of big flush is coming. Maybe this triple divergence on the 2-hour doesn't even work out. So this is what I'll be watching for the overall first reaction, and that's a big sell-off in the last 2 hours, almost 5% in just 2 hours. Actually, less than 2 hours. That's just the first 30 minutes of the 2 hours here. So, got to be careful with that. But this is where we could see some kind of bounce. Now, will the Qs and the SPY follow this first, confirm some downside, then get a reaction like Bitcoin might? Maybe. We have to see. It hasn't even confirmed the downside just yet. Oh, daily on Bitcoin does not look pretty, by the way. The daily on Bitcoin, it doesn't look pretty, right? So if you look at it on the daily, it's going negative, right? We're crossing through some key levels here. So that's why I'm saying this 2-hour divergence needs to hold up and we can see a bigger bounce. Maybe this is some kind of flag at that point, right? So if we clone this, maybe we're getting some kind of flag down in this area, something like this. I would do something like that and say, if this can hold up, that's pretty good. But till that actually plays out to the upside, I'm not going to be putting too much, into Bitcoin or anything saying, hey, yeah, this has to curl up. All you need to know about the daily, still, it's in negative, but it's close to the center line. So if that gets a few days of good positive action here, well, we can go positive. And what would that do? Maybe we see Bitcoin actually explode. So Bitcoin could explode higher if we just get that to cross up. That's not happening right now. You're actually going negative. You're at the bottom of the Bollinger. You retested the 5. Now you're dropping back down. Take back the 5. You're above the 200. Swing trader's dream. Let's take a peek over at AMD for a second. See if we were able to confirm any downside. As of right now, getting a slight red bar on the MACD here saying, hey, I want some downside. But we're not seeing that selling really come in just yet. This is where you would see it come in. So you see some buying up here, that would be very interesting. Tesla, everyone's paying attention to Tesla. This one here, flagging as of right now, 15-minute, probably going to pay attention to that. A little bit of a divergence happening right here. So you do have the opportunity for a bounce. You're in a zone where you could bounce from. I would just be cautious because if this starts to escalate, you can hold up anywhere in this big gray area. So not necessarily a lot of support and resistance to hold you up. Someone say there's a bond auction. I'm pretty sure there is. You have 17-week bill auction, and the 20-year bond auction is at noon for me. So 20-year bond auction at noon, my time, Central Time. $497. I'd say look at 500. I think 500 would be very likely. As we have lost a lot of moving averages, you want to see where, if you want to go a little bit lower, well, this weekly here is probably where I would say like 495, something like that, if we see a big flush. But wouldn't that be a fake out? Wouldn't that be a fake out? We head down towards the weekly 20. We do something like this week, and then that buys up by the end of the week, and then we see that push even higher. That still can happen. But you are confirming on this bar some downward pressure on the MACD, so I would treat any bounce from here as a dead cat. You guys know I like my 30 minutes. I'm just looking at a 15 to see if that confirmation is going to come, even on a 15-minute. Right now, the 15-minute not even confirming that. It is on the Qs, though. Qs are confirming it, flagging at the bottom here, not the best sign for the Qs, right? So now you're in negative territory. You can see that flush at any moment for the Qs. But I just wanted to pay attention to the SPY because it's kind of not confirming that downside while the Qs are. So I have to pay attention to that. But I think you have a good shot of hitting the lower expected moves today. If this can curl over, that is. Did Tesla bounce? Ooh, there's little divergences here, man. I mean, Tesla can see a bounce. Kind of tapered off a little bit. You're not necessarily selling. You're tapering off. You're able to base a little bit here. So in this zone. So where could Tesla get above by the end of the week? Well, Tesla, let's see here. Tesla could get back above 161. So all the way back up here. Tesla could get all the way back up here by the end of the week. Now, would that just be a gap fill? We'll have to see. But as of right now, you got a little divergence here on the 15-minute for Tesla. But while Tesla's doing that, the SPY is doing something else. SPY is saying some downside is likely if it can cross over on this MACD. I'd be a little bit more prone to say that. Call me Dead Cat Pat because I'm upward the rest of the week. Hey, that's perfectly fine. It's okay. There's bearish. I mean, we're gonna get a solid bounce soon. It's just a lot of the time we make 15-minute divergences before we see that bounce. So I would really like to see a bounce if we can test that 500 level. That's where I think it would be pretty solid to bounce from. Small caps here, flagging. Look, it could roll over. Apple, that could roll over. Tesla, that could roll up. It's showing you some divergence on the 15-minute. Amazon, this could go either way, but it looks like it might roll over for another downward push. Nvidia looks like it's confirming that downward push, but is it able to make a higher low? We'll have to find out. AMD on the 30-minute able to confirm the downside, but now we're starting to kind of hold up at this level. We're not seeing it escalate. Usually, when you see a downward push like this, that really continues as you cross over into negative territory. So that's a little fishy to me at this point. We'll have to see what happens by the end of that bar. Meta confirming another downward move. So Meta's one you want to pay attention to. Probably that weekly expected move. Let's see where that's at. Well, it's a little bit lower. So we have another 5 points to go on this bad boy. We can go a little bit lower here. But what would this do? What if we create a 30-minute divergence? What if we create a 15-minute divergence? This would be very, very cool for a trader to see a divergence this steep on the MACD and the RSI at the same time. Now, this is where things can escalate a little bit lower is where it can escalate. But as of right now, boom, divergence. What if that just confirms some upside for Meta going on into, the end of the week and next week as it does go towards that weekly expected move? That's what I'll be paying attention to. But the SPY as of right now, probably the most important thing to watch, seeing if that can confirm some kind of downward move. Not really doing it as of right now. But we are losing the moving averages, by the way, just so you note that. Yeah, we'll look at Rivian in a second. If it's up the rest of the week, then those retail traders are going to get crushed. All really bad news coming down the pipeline, and that's probably the case. But we just don't know when that news comes out, right? The Israel-Iran stuff is going to be very random. Do we have any data drops the rest of the week? What if just nothing happens? What if nothing happens and then we get initial jobless claims that show good? We get a good earnings. We have some Fed speakers that talk well. And then by next week, we get towards durable goods, which is supposed to come in negative, by the way. We get the 30-year mortgage rate, and then we get GDP, which is forecasted at 2%. So is GDP going to be the moment we go up, or is GDP going to be the moment we go down? We'll be paying attention to the signals the whole way through. Oh, Rivian. Let's look at that first. I saw a Rivian car truck yesterday. I know it's wonky, but 5-minute divergences are here. 30-minute up towards the center lines. Just be careful for some rejection here. You didn't necessarily have divergence, but you do have this low reading on the RSI. So if you see some kind of flush and then you see that divergence, that's when I would be more interested in the stock. If this thing's just curling up, well, I'm still negative on a lot of stuff, right? I'm still negative. 2 hours about to cross up, so you do have potential for a bounce here. But will that last? We'll have to find out. You don't really have a ton of price action in here. Now let's look at a daily because of that price action. Okay, now we're seeing a divergence. So if we start to see positivity right away, daily divergence, you can get a solid bounce. Maybe we even come up and fill this gap at 1536 when it's all said and done, because this divergence could put you into a positive trend. I just want to show you the last time we went into a positive trend back here. Look at that big move. So Rivian actually could get some kind of move here. I wonder if that's going to be very dependent on this earnings next Tuesday. So be careful if that bounce happens before earnings. Still a 50-50 flip there. Now, SPY on the daily, what did it do? It didn't really retest the 5. Doesn't seem like it wants to dip lower. You're outside of the Bollinger. The Bollingers would tell you, hey, upside is more likely from here, but you'd have to retake this 5 first. We got to retake the 5 first, because if the 5 keeps just catching up, you can still just ride that bad boy all the way down. Kind of like Apple here, even with these gaps down, you see the 5 just riding that down. We get a bounce, we ride it back down, we get a bounce. You really want to retake that. Tesla as well likes to ride it down. It's interesting though that, you know, the sentiment is very bad, very negative, and then we have Nvidia. That could come down to 841.46 again, and it would be testing that 50-day moving average that we've been talking about. That's really what I've leaned towards. And then all you have to do is see that retest, crosses back above this right here, these two moving averages, crosses on the MACD, positive on the RSI above the center line there. You can see a strong move from Nvidia going forward. Let's see what's happening here. Maybe flagging at higher levels on a big scale here. We'll have to see. You do have a way up, a way down, right? So if you want to say this is a wonky head and shoulders, you probably wouldn't say that with this wick, but you could see the collection of liquidity in this area, right? We're collecting it here. Now if we flush, that would make sense. You lose that 50, you close on the daily below that 50, you could start to really see this escalate. But earnings for Nvidia aren't until May 22nd, so we got some time until those earnings. Yeah, see how it's very cool how AMD has literally just pretty much ridden the 5 the whole way down. So you want to retake that for any kind of positivity above the 200. Yeah, it's going to be tough. That's why I'm leaning towards bear market. I think you're going to see times where it's like, oh, this company's reporting good earnings. The moment's here. And then boom, we get a big bounce. And then it's like the next week we see different earnings that are really bad. And someone mentions something about inflation. And then boom, we see a downside move. And then we see like Nvidia report good earnings in May, and then that causes some kind of big surge, and then we get maybe some kind of rate cut that people are excited about or something like that, but really something breaks in the market. Like stuff like that can happen. That's why it's just like, hey, why don't I just be flipping back and forth all the time? That's one thing to check on. All right, we look fine. Not confirming the downward move just yet. Not a lot to go off of here, but not confirming the downward move. Now, Q's moving sideways here, going to prove to be something, right? If we can curl up and curl back down, you kind of confirm that negative trend. Right now, you could say, hey, this could be some kind of big cup. Maybe we get that handle and then that flushes. So just be careful if this 5 minute rolls up, rolls back down. That 5 minute rolls up and remains there. Look for it to come above these highs up here. That could be a good sign for upside to go test the top side expected move, which would be right around the 5-day moving average, I believe. Yeah, it would be right around the 5-day. We do like to gravitate towards that too. So you're kind of in an area where it's like, am I going to retest the 5? Well, I kind of already tried to and failed. So now maybe I go and test lower levels and see what happens from there. But as of right now, you didn't even get that full retest. So we could move sideways even going on into today and see this catch up by tomorrow and then see if we're able to retake that or if we start to reject from it again. That's why I like my 30-minute confirmations, because 15 minutes can be wonky like this, that confirming the downside here. So I really like 30 minutes. I've just seen the 15 minutes be wonky a lot. Excuse me, sorry. Hey, stocks and talks, I could see it. 15-minute divergence in our zone where we could get some buyers in it. Like, I wouldn't mind. I'm down. Tesla, you want to get a little bounce, dude? Tesla, you want to get a little bounce or something, dude? Yosu Zepada. That's a cool name. Zepada? Zepeda. I don't know if I'm even saying that right, but I like your name. It's kind of cool. Yosu. You're welcome, man. I really appreciate you guys coming out. You do daily ranges for NVIDIA on Patreon. I only see the weekly. You can't do daily ranges unless you have an expiration every single day, Carlos. So you need the implied volatility for that specific expiration. So the day that we put it out on Patreon, Carlos, for each individual stock is Thursday nights because I have an expiration the next day on a Friday, right? So because they expire on a Friday, I can make a daily range for that Friday, and that's where it's really cool. Because a lot of the time you'll see it hit those levels on a Friday, or get like if one of the daily expected moves, like let's say Nvidia's outside of its weekly going into Friday, and that daily expected move is somewhere inside the weekly expected move to the upside, you'd say, okay, I'm going to play a bounce to that area because I know that's where the percentages line up. Maybe I see a divergence on Thursday before that happens. I can get into a position and play that upside move. Oh yeah, Lyft. I'm sorry. I know someone was asking about Lyft. This looks like divergence to me. 15-minute double bottom, maybe. See if it shows on the 30-minute. Remember, I like my 30 minutes. So this does have a little bit of room to go down a little lower. But I'd say this, if you can confirm some divergence here, really confirm some kind of divergence, maybe a little bit lower, then we see some kind of bounce holding up at this low down here, somewhere in this area. That would be very, very cool. You'd see a divergence here. You got some options here for Lyft to get some kind of bounce. What news did it get? Anything? Minimum pay for Uber, Lyft drivers in Minneapolis pushed back to July. Okay. NVIDIA, 30-minute rolling over on NVIDIA. AMD, 30-minute rolling over for AMD. Here we go. SPY dropping. Look at that. Finally, there it is. Remember, 15-minute curls over, negative territory. Took a minute. It stalled out, and it still could get some kind of bounce, right? It's still wonky, but the Q's really saying, hey, I'm heading towards my weekly expected move. So now I have my downside plays still. I have some downside plays going on here. All I have to do, pay attention to my weeklies and stuff like that, pay attention to my weekly expected moves, see if the SPY or the Qs can get there. When one of them gets there, most likely the Qs, because I'm more of a tech stock Magnificent 7 trader. I trade those back and forth. So I'm more interested in the Qs. Once that pushes down to this level or maybe the daily expected move, I'll be getting out of my positions because I'm already up 60%. So I did take a small play on volatility. We're going to see if this thing starts to rocket up. Well, let's look. Is that 30-minute curling up? Boom. Okay. Is it going to curl up the hourly? That's what I can pay attention to next. But there's that rip your face off for volatility happening right now, which means this guy might pop off. We'll have to see if this is able to go to higher levels. The 10-year. I don't know if I think it maybe matches that high. I don't know that it fully breaks down or fully busts up, right? That's what I'm trying to say. 30-minute here, I'm still paying attention to this trend. 30-minute here, I'm paying attention to 841.46. 841.46 is pretty much where your 50-day moving average is. And you'd be testing this, you'd be holding up a little bit higher. So I think that would be very, very good. Damn, I should have took the play on NVIDIA. I took a small one on AMD here. Negative trend, builds up to the center line, take a position, have a stop at the high. Okay, we crash down, we break through some support. Now I can hold it, cross down negative territory, negativity coming. Now I can play this low if I want. I can just go a couple points lower. VIX really seeing some steam here. So what I'd look for on the SPY, 30-minute divergences, and most likely we will be closing down the stream somewhere around 10:30 or 11 today, and then I'll be making most likely a video for Patreon if I see some setups. So it's on a 15. I just want 15 to go towards 5. If it can go towards 500, we're solid here, but it keeps holding up. Q's really wanting to go down. They keep holding up, and there's it's just weird because they're, at least to what I've been looking at, I haven't seen much to hold up in this level. Right, we're cutting through a gap. Cutting through a gap. Now you do have price action in there, but you'd expect this gap fill maybe at this point. Even 425, really. So now I'm just looking, 30 minutes. Can this cross over? That would really get bearish for a second. And if that escalates, I think we see some wicking out later today. Like some wick up or something like that. I will be looking to flip by end of day. I want to point that out. I think I'll be looking to flip. I think some setups outside of weekly expected moves. You got Tesla giving you some setup here on the 15-minute. Apple, if this curls down, you could see something. Really, on the SPY and Qs, you could see something. On the SPY, if it comes down to here, you got 30-minute divergence. It really likes to roll up the 2-hour, guys. That 2 hour's been beat down for some time. Now I'm leaning towards a lower high because this would be very difficult to get back up to. So I think we do something like this, then we bounce up for this level, and then we see that crash back down in May. But, you know, with earnings and things like that, it is sketchy, right? We need to break through this low. We can confirm below that low. That'd be good. Q's already did. So this is probably the one I want to pay attention to the most. Just see if we can head towards that daily expected move, 425. Solid, though. Up 70% now. I would say it's probably a little late. If you were wanting to take the short, you could maybe take it on this bar right here, play some downside to that weekly or daily expected move. SPY, probably one that is more available at this point. So if you're doing all your technicals and it really looks like we want to point down, we just haven't lost this low yet. That's the only problem. But you are getting confirmation, negative territory on the 15 minutes. So SPY looking like it could head lower. NVIDIA crossed already, so this is where you wanted to get in on NVIDIA, at least at this bar. I would have taken it once it broke through this flagging, right? It broke through the trend, take it right there, and then wait for that to confirm to know if you want to hold it. Confirmed. AMD was actually a good one. Right up in these levels up here, you could take something like here, which is what I did actually. I took it as it lost both these moving averages dramatically. And we're starting to see that fall. Now what can I pay attention to? 30 minutes, see that rolled over. So technically the 30 minute is saying AMD has more downside. Maybe you want to look for something that had a solid bounce or something like that though. Maybe, not necessarily Google, that looks pretty strong. Netflix confirming it. Like if you wanted to see if SMCI fades, you could do something like that, but it's just I mean, even the Dow, you little play on the Dow there. IWM. I mean, there's plays to be had. You just want to know what your structure is. It's harder to swing trade to the downside. I'm doing that right now. I'm swing trading downside, and I'm getting this confirmation on a 30 minute. I just used the 15 to find a good entry point right around here. Now I'm playing that downside. It looks like we're at least going to test this low, if not make a new one. And then a divergence down here. So if you're going to be short today, I would be very quick with it. Even if it doesn't hit weekly expected moves, I'd be very quick with it. I know that wasn't the best answer in the world. You want to be like, yeah, there's stuff available, but there will be great trades available, I would say, by the end of today. 421. I'm saying 425. I think this area in here. Look at all these moving. Look at all these expected moves right in here. I think anywhere in here would be great. This would be a test of that 20-week moving average. This would be fantastic. This would be great. You get a few 30-minute bars down, right? And then you come down like this. You get a divergence by end of day. You know there's a 68% chance for a bounce going on into the rest of the week. So Qs could see a rapid move up from this level. You have earnings and things like that. You're just praying at that point they're not bad. Because if earnings are bad and you're down at this level, you can start to use as rejection, breakthrough, use as rejection. You can really escalate the selling down in this area. But as of right now, it looks like this looks like the most likely scenario for me. But just because it looks like the most likely scenario doesn't mean I trade based on that. I still am watching the price action. I just keep those scenarios in my head, if that makes sense. Adam House, howdy. So you still need to confirm. We still haven't really got a very good close below even these closing bars. I would say you want to close below 502.28, and then I'll be whatever this low is, 502.22. Then you'd say, okay, 500 looking pretty good now. How we all doing today? We all liking the stream. We all having a good day. We all got our coffee. Who's got their robe on? Oh gosh, that's what we should do this weekend. I should try to make a nice shirt or sweatshirt or something. The easiest way to spot a divergence is don't look at too many time frames. Find 3 that you really like. Mine are 30-minute, 2-hour, and daily. And you just have to look around for a long time. You really do. You just have to keep looking for them, draw them out. I would say try, especially early on, to pay attention to divergences at the same time. But they're going to be easy to spot, right? And if you get good at it, you can say oh, a divergence might form here. So with the Qs right now, even seeing this bounce, well, that's rejecting as of right now. But if we came down to here, what if we saw some kind of divergence here? Okay, that would mean this is going to roll over and roll back up. So I want to see that roll down, roll back up. That would be very obvious to me. So I think about divergence before it even happens. I've been short for a while, but lightened up. Hey, you're in the right area to lighten up. Down more towards this weekly expected move. We could end, by the way, we could end the entire week up here. So it's not unheard of. It's just very unlikely. Right now, it looks more likely we already picked a direction. We're starting to retest that level. So if you take that level back, this might be a false move. But right now, you're testing the level we just broke out from, really. You're testing the bottom here of these closing bars. So if we see that rejection now, that would be an even better sign we're going to head lower. But yeah, as far as spotting divergences, I would say sticking to 2 to 3 charts and only doing divergences on those is the best thing, at least early on. And then also thinking about it before it even happens. Oh, I see the MACD on Tesla. If I like the 15-minute, okay, I see the MACD on Tesla. Looks like it could roll over and go negative, right? So this is where it would form some kind of divergence. Where would it form that? Well, it could form it at the low. It could form it in my zone. So right now, 15-minute divergence. Now you don't necessarily have like a downward move, downward confirmation on the MACD, but you do have a big steep one on the RSI down here. So if this sees a possible positivity, you just want that RSI to get above the center line first. AMD, another one that could set up some divergence. What are we paying attention to here? Well, it crossed down towards the center line, so our thinking automatically is if I come down like this and see a big bounce, that will be divergence, so I'm open to a trade around this level. That's how I do it. Also, people look into... This is going to pop because of... well, didn't we look at United, and this is really starting to pop, so... Apple's still flagging, though. There's not a lot of strength behind this as of right now. But yeah, if you really want to get good at spotting divergences and things like that and understanding them, I would highly suggest checking out the course and then, really listening to even the section about, how to find patterns and trend lines. It's really just draw your ideas, think of your ideas before they even happen. It will make you prepared, right? It will really make you prepared. Like right now, I want you to look at Tesla. I want you to look at NVIDIA. A lot of people would say, right, and even I would say this is crossing down negative territory. 841 looks pretty good. But what if this kind of confirms some upside here? Well, what do you have down here on the MACD? And sometimes really spreading out these MACDs can help. So you can really see how steep they are. Spreading out the RSI. Look at that. Upward move on the RSI. Upward move here for the MACD. But a downward move for NVIDIA. This actually could be some kind of pop. Isn't that weird? If we actually get NVIDIA to see some buying here, we could see some kind of pop. Kind of crazy. This isn't really divergence. Not fully convinced we're going to see that pop. That's why I wait for confirmations. Maybe you can look at a 15, see if you see the same thing, see the divergence. If NVIDIA wanted to, it could really bounce from this level, but it needs that positivity to come in. Maybe we need to take a peek over at volatility. This thing spiked and then dropped. So it spiked, 30-minute cross for a moment, and now it's dropping off again. So we're not necessarily seeing a huge downside in the market. This thing just had earnings. I'm pretty sure it was bad. Yeah. All right. So earnings for this, you're below the 50. First of all, you're retesting that as of right now. You're retesting the 5. So remember these negative moves down like this. Well, you have to see how it reacts around the 5 as it retests when it goes bottom Bollinger as it retests the 5. So if you get rejection from there, could be a good sign for lower prices. 15-minute up towards the center line now. Flagging out, going positive. So this is a scenario where the 15-minute can keep going, but you see if that just rolls over, where would it be negative territory? So that's where the flush could really come, unless you see some manipulation, which as of right now, you'd say like, Qs, SPY, they're all starting to see this buying up. Probably isn't manipulation. Probably people trying to catch that falling knife. That's what I would say about that for Bank of America. Just it looks like it wants to head a little bit lower. See, yeah, you're going to start to see divergences at these levels. We've been selling for a little bit now, and now we can look at a 15-minute for the Qs, go down to a lower level like 427, 425, SPY to 500. SPY to 500 would be very, very good. SPY to 500 would be good. Qs testing that weekly 20 would be very, very good. Then we can maybe play with some upside. Dow Jones not breaking through that trend either, so you and the Dow just saying, hey, nope, no thank you. Ugh. All right, guys, give me 2 minutes here. I'm going to go say hi to the girls, just paying attention to any kind of buying down here. Make sure if you're looking at NVIDIA for that divergence to actually confirm, because it can see much lower prices, right? 840 or something like that. But I will be, oh, and you're welcome, Stocks and Talks. I'm glad they're helpful. And if you really want a solid understanding, the course is down below. One of the best courses on YouTube. That's what I keep hearing. So thank you guys so much. I will be here still. I'm just taking a small 2-minute break. Hello, we're back. Oh, actually, I'm gonna go get a little coffee and then I'll come back. But look at that turning down. Let me make another coffee real quick. All right, now we're back for real. For real. Look at that. We're back for real this time. Bruce got yelled at. Classic Bruce. Classic Bruce. Had to yell at the guy. Not really. I just had to be like, what are you doing? All right, guys, let's smash like. Let's get those people back in here. Smash that like button. And Clean Beef, thank you for subscribing. Really appreciate it. Oh, he just does this thing. We have like a gate because he's kind of like, he's like 2. So he doesn't really control his body weight. He's just a brute force, right? And so pretty much he likes to do this thing where he like fits through something. And then when he turns back down to go back through it, he thinks he doesn't fit. And I was like, I wasn't yelling. I was just like, Bruce, you fit this way, so you're going to fit this way. Like, come on, man. NVIDIA bearish flow is crazy. Uh-oh. Just make sure it doesn't confirm any divergence here. This is pretty interesting. I'm going to look, where are the weekly expected moves? Wait a minute, where are the weekly expected? Wow, pretty low, actually, so you're not at the weekly expected move just yet. So just know the direction is down for now. Qs, we would like to see a 15-minute divergence, but maybe down towards these moving averages right here. Bruce, I don't think there's water in there, buddy. All right, fine, I'll get you water. God damn. Having to get on, get off, get on, get off, get on, get off, get on, get off. I'll be right back. I gotta get Bruce water now. Yeah, it's a double white. Pick the bottom of the bowl. 20 minutes, like water doesn't just magically. That makes sense. Because I end up filling the bowl. I get it. I use a good bowl. No. No. No biting. Not allowed. Not allowed. Alright, come here, buddy. Got it for you. Here you go. Okay. That's better than a bowl. Oh, that was fine. Alright. And we're back. Apple going negative, looking like it might curl down and break through some flagging. I mean, pretty much already has, right? I don't know where this flag would start, but pretty much maybe something like this. All right, breaking down. So AMD starting to buy back up. Still going to pay attention to NVIDIA here. We still need to break down to that lower level, really. Could be a hakeout. United Airlines looks like a big ass bounce because of earnings. 50-50 flip on this bad boy, but you had divergence across the way. If you trust the technicals, you could have took it, put a stop in. That's pretty much all you take from here, but coming up into a gap, coming up into the previous high, probably some pullback in store, but you could go as high as 48.50. Apple breaking down. Qs. Oh, see, the curl over on the 30-minute. I love a good curl over on the 30-minute. Damn it. You guys have to spam stop singing when I sing. What else I get? Ah, great. Yeah, that's good stuff. I mean, multiple reasons to take a trade is my scenario there. I ain't fighting against that. I see a rip up of what, 20%? What was it? Boom. Yeah, 10-12% in a day. Yeah, I ain't fighting against it. What if you just move sideways and see that continue good earnings? So I don't fight against that stuff. I play what's in front of me right now, seeing the SPY start to curl down. Come on, 30-minute. Give us the divergence. Give it to. It is interesting. Well, if you're looking for, a certain play here, Apple finally maybe about to confirm some downside. The only problem with Apple is we don't really know where it could go to. It's already below that move. I'd expect this move not to be as big, right? I'd expect this not even to probably be as big as this. Like I don't think this fully happens, right? I think probably this low right here, maybe 167.50 is where I'd look for Apple to get to if we fully start to cross over into negative territory here. Tesla flagging, still could cross down, not necessarily the big buying you want to see. You want to see a good reaction from a level where we want to hold up from. This is just slowly trickling down. Let's look at volatility. This thing's starting to turn back up. The volatility is just getting started right now, by the way. If we're going to see this curl up into positive territory, volatility is just getting started. So, boom, that rips. Might mean some bad stuff coming on. Ooh, dollar. Looks like another move coming higher, maybe. Volatility, hey, yeah, take it with a grain of salt. Buy signal there, but what do we pay attention to? Well, it took back the moving averages on the hourly. Okay, it might cross up. It's near the center line. It's above the center line on the RSI, so the momentum looks like it's up from here. But, like we said, we don't want to do all the technicals just on the volatility, so now we want to compare that to maybe a 30-minute on the SPY. Well, 30-minute on the SPY. Looks like it wants to roll over. It's in negative territory. It's below the center line for the RSI, so you have a good shot at volatility coming in right now. The Dow, you can look across a bunch of different things to show, hey, yeah, downside. Nah, that one didn't cross, but downside might be there. NVIDIA downside still might be there even with this bounce. So still divergence here. Want to pay attention to that, but until we see that confirmed, we don't want to put too much into it. Q's still dropping off here. SPY dropping off here. So let's see if these start to confirm on some 30-minute bars. Does the shareholders approve most 56 billion compensation package? I do not know. I will look at Uber. Actually, yeah, Uber setting up a bounce. Weirdly enough. Now I'm not saying we just broke through a low, so I'm not saying that bounce has to come right here. I'm just saying there's some big divergences across the way here. You got divergence in the near price action. Do you have a 2-hour divergence at the same time? That would be very good. 2-hour divergence at the same. Now that rejected. So be careful with that. That just rejected. But you technically did have some good divergence at these levels. But, oh, as you're in this gap too, you'd have to say, be a little worried. This might head all the way down to $69. That is a big bar. I would not try to bet up against that just yet. Volatility still creeping up. Creeping up. AMD, come on, baby. The Meta confirming, but these are just, there's buying under these bars here. Really, just the SPY's probably the most important. One hour, is that curling? Oh wait, no, that's curling up, but that's not strength. That's not a strong move through there. You're in negative territory. Oh, sorry, hit the mic. Chris Willett, thank you for subscribing. Appreciate you being here. Thank you. Like the stream for Chris out there. Tell him hello and welcome to the channel. Hourly MACD, it's not really crossing here, right? So there's a problem. There's a problem with this, okay? Because technically when this MACD is crossed, it should be above the 9. So the fact that it's crossed and now it's not, price is not above the 9 is a very bad sign that we're going to see some rejection here. Just what I wanted to point out. Usually when you get this cross the MACD, almost 100% of the time you'll be above the 9-day moving average. That's not holding true right there, so it's a little bit worrisome. And you're not holding up at the 5 either, so rejection from the 20 on the hourly here. It's an area where I would think about buying Tesla. It's an area that would make sense. Gold, I still think gold's going to roll over. I really, really do. 30-minute chart here looking like it just rolled over. Now you have to see that actually flush. If we just hold sideways up in here, we see another strong move. Okay, gold's been very, very strong. But as we don't get as much data, unless we see Israel do something, then gold can rip, most likely. But George, hate again. George hates again. Thank you for joining the channel. Really appreciate you being here. Thank you for subscribing. Welcome George in the chat, guys. But I think gold has a good chance to pull back here, just because we don't have much data coming out. Maybe until GDP comes in hot or something like that. Oh god, our old dog keeps didn't get the first pop first. Didn't get the pop first this morning, but cut the call leg and puts our down doing well. Get in just a higher entry price than I wanted. Yeah, that's kind of what seems to be. I think gold drops off though, and then we see something scale this thing back up. Whether that is the Israel-Iran stuff or Israel, whatever it is. And then also, I would say once we start to get data again, we're only expecting a 2% GDP at the end of this month. We're only expecting, you know, some negative, what was it, retail sales or something like that. It was durable goods orders trying to come in negative. So we could see some spikes up later. We'll have to pay attention to that going forward. I got to put on NVIDIA, do you think, going down? I mean, the thing about NVIDIA you just have to be careful with is this 15-minute, 30-minute divergence that has just formed. We just formed this. So if that confirms, I would be very, very inclined to not short NVIDIA based on these signals. Look how steep that 15-minute divergence is now. But the 30-minute still cross. You have a good shot to go to 841. Guys, what are you doing? Idiots. Anyway, 15-minute divergence down here. So if that confirms, I would not be going short on NVIDIA anymore. AMD, not really getting a divergence or anything like that. Actually curling over on the 30-minute just recently. So this one not creating divergence. Now you could get a higher low, but I think you have a good shot for AMD to come down. But just pay attention if NVIDIA holds up. It's a strong bar. Maybe it retests the 5 on the 30-minute here, and then we see something happen. But SMCI still strong at this point, not rolling over anything, but consolidation would make a lot of sense. You know, pump it up. You gotta pump it up. I gotta stop singing. I'm gonna get demonetized so fast. How is volatility doing? Are we still confirmed? Are we still looking decently strong? Decent. Not the strongest, but strong. Not the strongest, but we're holding up. We can take back some of these moving averages. We just did. Maybe that starts to pop off. Just interesting that we crossed down in negative territory on these 15 minutes. Taking a little more time. That's kind of why I like the 30-minute better. Usually by the time the 30-minute crosses, then right after that you see some kind of flush. So that's what I would see with the SPY and the Qs even right now. See if the Qs, right, this is a stronger move. Did it curl over on the 30? That's about to. So I think we could see some kind of sudden flush, and then that might buy back up. Oh, yeah, we looked at this one yesterday a little bit. 2 hour. That's a beat down by the center line. If that could curl up, I'd feel a little more confident. Really, we want to see this is a pullback to the 20. So I'd really be maybe even looking even shorter, like an hourly, see if this can go positive. you're still kind of flagging here. So the only other thing that would convince me a little bit better would be if there's a divergence. You see this is kind of flaggy, kind of like we're scooping up, right? We're scooping. So you'd have to say, when you see this roundness, that you could just complete the cup, get a handle, head lower. Does that create a divergence in the future? That's when I would be very interested. But I would understand these levels for something. 1 minute, nah, not very often. Usually I'm never looking at a 1 minute. My strategy works really, really well, and I stick to it. I keep it very simple. I stick to it. I look for these divergences. I look for curling up. I look for outside weekly ranges. I look for all that kind of stuff. It just works out better for me. And I like to scale into a lot of positions. So I like to have some time behind my expiration. Okay, SPY making a new low. SPY made a new low. Google puts here look too easy. Google's the only thing really holding up. Still kind of flaggy at this point, to the upside actually, but if that curls down, I'd be a little convinced, maybe 153, something like that. AMD, seeing that resistance come in, NVIDIA not confirming this yet. So until this confirms, you're looking like downside. Until this confirms, you're looking like downside. I just want to point that out. If you want this to be a little tighter, you can look at a 15-minute. Until this confirms down here on the MACD, right, then downside looks much so more likely. Q's getting towards that weekly expected move. Look at this. We're heading there. Let's look at the SPY. Heading there. Now we have to see, are the Q's going to hold up at that weekly expected move, or are we going to go towards the daily? Well, I would say the SPY really wants to get to 500. So once the SPY gets down to this area, I'll be convinced we could see some bouncing in there. So look out, because NVIDIA could confirm that divergence soon. Just pay attention to that. We want to see how are our options doing. Well, they're looking pretty. They're looking good. I mean, my VIX call is doing very, very good right now. Almost 100% there. So I just want to look at the volatility. Can this continue? Well, I'd say if the hourly's curling up, it can. I think I'm going to play it until we match this high, but really all I have to do is sit here. I just have to sit here, look at the 30-minute, watch that crossover, maybe even do something like, oh, not the 3-day, sorry. One time I used a 3-day. I used to do that. But maybe I want to, like, just in case we see some kind of big selling, maybe I want to put a line right around where that 20 is. Okay, so 495.26 looking pretty good. If we cross over on this 30-minute, we can see that happen. So now all I want to pay attention to, look at this. Okay, so someone was asking, how do you really get good at spotting divergence? Think about it before it even happens. We see this build up. Now we see it crossing down in negative territory. So what am I thinking? Okay, well, I can target these areas. If I make a divergence right here, I know that there could be a solid probability for a bounce. And if I head to lower levels, I have a spot marked off where we could get that bounce from. 495.26. We could head all the way down to 495.26 and then see a bounce. Now, what would that do? Would that make the RSI go below this point? Well, then that divergence would be violated. So I probably want to sell before I hit this line, look if anything happens, and then see if a divergence forms, and then I can take that play. So that's what I would overall be doing as of right now. All right, and because I do have a put on AMD for a short period of time here, that's what I'm looking for on AMD, 30-minute divergence. Oh, what if we do this and start to head down? Well, right now we are testing these lows. So I'll be thinking about getting out of that position very, very soon, up about 60% on that one. I think this is enough for me today, 140% on the day, so I mean, maybe I get rid of one and keep the other. That's a good way to do it. Let's get rid of one. Let's get rid of one. And we'll keep the other. So I am out of my AMD put because I said I was going to play it down to this low. So that's exactly where I'm getting out. That's plenty of money. We'll see. There it goes. Got filled. Whew. A little scary for a sec. I was like, no one wants this option? It's like, it's a great option. So all I did there, first of all, took something out of the money, 155. I took 155 right up in this area, played it for like a few hours here, couple hours, boom, hits around here, make about 60% there. I think it was around 60% on that one. And I know I'm going to be quick with it. I'm trading like water. So that is a very, very good trade setup for myself there. Now I can watch and see if my VIX calls keeps printing. Now I just have to sit and watch the SPY, see if it wants to go down towards these daily and weekly expected moves. I think that's going to be my overall target. I'm going to try to make a good amount on this. This one's my bigger play on the day. Did you buy end of week? For these ones, yes. Because I knew I would be selling them today and I was expecting a quick move, yes. This is like one of the only times I do that. Because I'm like, I'm expecting this move in the next 2 hours, so I'm going to play that first sign. I'm not looking to scale in. Now, normally, if it's a divergence or something like that, if it's just a curling over of the MACD, I usually take either, depending if I'm expecting it to happen that day, I can take that week's expiration, but usually I still buy a week or two out with those because you'll make plenty. No, it's not like me, but it was an opportunity. It was an opportunity. I took it. I made money off it. I do that every once in a while, to be honest. For every probably 20 trades I make, one of them I'll have a closer expiration because I'm playing a short move. It's just I wanted to make money from this volatility today. I wanted to make money today. And with my strategy, going with the 2 week to 2 month plays, I wasn't going to make much money today. I wanted to make some, so there you go. I'll take a little 65% on the day, 60%. Otherwise down further. Yeah, I mean, so if you look at a 15-minute, so right, we're talking about divergence. If you look at a 15-minute, it's kind of like NVIDIA. Anytime that this confirms, you should say there's probably not any more downside. If the 15-minute is able to get like 45 minutes of buying and you see that cross and go positive, that's not going to be good for your shorts. I'm just going to tell you that right now. So if we do base out anywhere down here and I see some kind of buying bar up, probably come above this 5 on the 15-minute, I'll be out. I'll be out of this play. Yeah, just don't get too bearish today. We could see some setups by end of day. J&J looked like, oh, solid little double bottom here. Solid double bottom here for J&J. Now, do you have weekly ranges or anything for J&J? Have you built those, J-dubs? Because this is looking pretty good, honestly. We want to look across. We want to see 30-minute. Yeah, you got a small divergence there as well. J&J looks good. It kind of does. Now, be careful because you just had earnings pretty recently, right? April 16th, so very, very recently. And just be careful with that. This could be some kind of pop, fill a gap, and then drop. If you're going to play anything like this, I would keep it tight on a 15-minute. Just look for this to go positive. And if you want to take a play on this, I mean, technically you're getting a trigger. You just need to get above this 50 line on the RSI. But if you see that bounce up to this area, I would say 147.24. Good take profit line there. Let's see, is volatility ramping up? Yes, it is. Is it able to curl up the 2 hour? That's going to be the big thing. I think this fails to curl up on the 2 hour, if I'm being honest. I think the hourly curls up. We see another hour or so of this ripping higher, and then I think we struggle around this area or even make a lower high. We could make that lower high right now. I just think this crosses up, goes like this. We see the SPY fall down a little bit. Doesn't it make sense when you look at both back and forth? You're like, okay, hourly even going to create some kind of divergence here, which is kind of funny. But the 15-minute, what I'm paying attention to right now, if that curls up in any way, crosses up on the MACD, I am not shorting this at all anymore. I'm probably flipping. The market is going to continue to go down on the day. Lots of opportunity to get some great bear trades in. Very true. That's why I took mine. So you guys saw me do something today that I normally probably do. I mean, I probably do that type of play, maybe once a month. I want to say maybe once every 2 months I'll do something like that. But it's like AMD, all I'm doing is kind of swing trading it, actually. I mean, AMD crosses down on a 15-minute after flagging. I take it. I look for the 30-minute to confirm it. 30-minute confirms it. I hold to lower levels. You guys don't know. I was up 30% on AMD. Then I got a bounce. I was back to breaking even. I didn't waver. I was like, I'm fine. And then boom, my option goes up 65%. So, but now here's the question for you guys. Am I using a lot of money behind these trades that I just had an expiration for Friday? Am I using a lot of money? And I do have trades that are like my TLT trade is still going for longer out, but is it? How much money do you think I'm putting behind this? Not a lot. No. I'm not putting a lot behind it. Trading like water. Perfectly fine. You're definitely one of the most on point guys in this space. Thank you. Once you really like, that's why I encourage people not to be even looking at a stock with, trying to trade a stock when dump $2 more and I'm out. I like it, iGame. I like it. But we got to see if this confirms. If it confirms, get out of that, man. Just don't play against it. Look for the next trade, even if it goes the way afterwards. But $75. Yeah, Nvidia is so volatile. Can't judge anymore. And 41 level looking pretty good. But I think, like, for me, it's I used to make the market very complex before I started doing technical analysis very seriously years ago, right? I was fundamental, little bit of technicals, but a lot of fundamental, paying attention to every single news that drops, what was the earnings? This. No. How about I just stay away from earnings, look at momentum. Oh, it swung down, probably seeing lower prices. Now we could see a divergence and see a bounce from this level. Pretty cool, right? So now one thing you pay attention to with the weekly expected moves, I want to point this out, is if one of them hits it before the other. If the Qs hit it before the other, it is a very good idea to just be like, okay, the SPY, like the Qs could bounce, so the SPY could bounce. So if the SPY only gets to like 550, or maybe it just stops right here, but the Qs go touch their weekly expected move and then see a bounce, you can kind of get screwed and the SPY might not actually hit these levels. So just pay attention to that going forward. If the Qs hit that level before the SPY, it's a good opportunity to say, hey, I'm going to take some profit. Win's a win. Win's a win. I like it. Congratulations, 48%. Why are we not over 100 likes yet? DP Trade's disappointed. 500 to 1,000? Maybe. For little plays like that, I would highly encourage, especially if you're just trying to grow over time like myself, to use probably less than $1,000 behind a probably what you said, $500 behind a trade that's going to expire in 2 days is very, very solid. And then once you see a good one, you can be like, all right, now I can put $2,000, $2,500, $5,000 behind it. Oh, ranges on the SPY, 507.87 to the top, 499.19 to the bottom. The cool part about this is 500. We gravitate towards those whole numbers. So I think 500 would be a good sell area. Oh, come on, UVXY. Took the short option there. Maybe I should just take it, man. You know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to make my 80% on this. All right, I'm going to make my 80% and look for the next trade. So now I'll be looking for, I will in no way be trying to find something for Friday. I'm not going to take that expiration. That is not how I do it. So now I'm pretty much out of all of my downside and I'm just chilling. I'm going to chill and watch the signals for a little while. Apple, not really breaking down for Apple. Tesla, giving some room up here for Tesla. Amazon. So Tesla looks like a okay play here, to be honest. It doesn't look like horrible. It's so bad that this could all be flagging. You have the potential to drop here, so I might look for something else. Ooh, wait, what is Meta doing? Ooh, hold on. Ooh. See, something like Meta would be good. Something that's just been holding up a little bit better. In a positive daily trend is what I want to... So positive daily trend is what I most likely want to take a upside positive trade with, right? But also you could say, hey, if volatility makes a divergence, I could play that. There's a lot of options. Tesla looks okay, but I just really don't like it. So Amazon, Meta, things like that. That's more what I'll be looking for. Amazon might be a play here, my dude. I wish I should have made ranges for Netflix, by the way. Ooh, Microsoft could see a solid bounce. That might be a 30-minute divergence soon. Yeah, so I'll look for some 30-minute divergences, but Microsoft supposed to get to a little bit lower. We'll see. SPY, is that heading lower? No, we're starting to wick out, so I think I'm selling at a good point here. Pay attention for 15-minute divergences, guys. I think they're going to be pretty telling. Q's going down towards that weekly expected move. And there is NVIDIA divergence here. If that can load. There it goes. My goodness. Oh, it looks pretty good. Everything looks pretty good. Good day. What was that, 130%? Well, 77% on one, 60% on the other. That's not bad. Gotta bump it up. No, stop it. Don't. Damn it. Don't sing. Don't sing. That has to move. Wait. I was like, let me look at an NVIDIA option a couple weeks out. I was like, nah, there's got to be a better play than that. AMD, remember, I sold pretty much right at this low. Actually, I think it was like right here. So that's pretty good. It's good trading. Good trading. We can't ask to be any better than that, to be totally honest. We can't. Microsoft might be a good one to look for. Look at that divergence. If we could confirm that, I'd feel pretty good. Now that weekly expected move is a little lower for Microsoft. SMCI positive. Mara. Maybe that's something too. Let's see what Bitcoin did. Look at that. We're going down into the bottom flag here. Remember, there's still divergences across the way here. So potential to flip this trend around. When's that halving take place? Has that already happened? Tomorrow? Is that what it is? Friday? Tomorrow or Friday? VIX is positive, which means that SPY might be heading down towards the 500 level. I just got out of my VIX calls, so I'm looking for something to take for a little bit more time now. I'm looking for a little bit more something that I can take a few weeks out that looks pretty good. Something, God, see, if AMD caught some kind of bid throughout all this run, I would really think about it, but it's just not. One that I was thinking of was like, oh, maybe like coin or something like that, or even BITO, probably gonna bounce because of, you know, Bitcoin bouncing, Bitcoin strategy ETF, so it could. But this one's like, do I really want to take a chance with that? We'll have to see. I mean, if it's cheap, I might take a play on it just because it's like, whatever. Do a few weeks out. I mean, decently cheap. I'm going to do a small play on it. Nothing crazy. Literally, like, almost nothing behind that. Just kind of like a, not necessarily a fun play, but just a little play on it. Oh, God. All right. So for this one here, it's like I knew there was 15-minute divergence. I see the Bitcoin price action giving me that 2-hour divergence, so the 30-minute divergence could play out to the upside. We have halving event going on. We could see some bullishness come into the market, but we're seeing stuff turn to the downside as of right now. So I'm literally putting nothing behind that option. I just want to be clear about that. I still think we have a good shot to go down to 500. AMD, like I've tried to trade you so many freaking times, AMD. Just keep screwing me over. So what's going on, man? What's going on? Oh, that's ugly. That is that is ugly. Jesus, that is good thing we're looking at shorter time frames, am I right? Because gross. Denied. Bitcoin's going down, down, and not coming back. Look at the volume, it's down by 40 billion. His arm going down. I know, Robert. I keep saying I can't help it. It's just like who I am, man. It's just who I am. Looking at Meta. Meta looks like a decent one. Amazon has some good divergence here. This one would be good. You have a pretty solid upside move for Amazon, right? So what's the upside that could come from Amazon? Pretty high. Pretty high. So what do we want to see? Is SPY touching down here yet? Damn. Q's? Damn. SPY? Damn. Ooh, okay. Tesla. Look at that. Video 15-minute divergence. Anyone who wants to go nuts and try something, NVIDIA 15-minute divergence can roll up some 2 hours. 30-minute divergences there as well. Can roll up some 2-hour charts. So could be another push left for NVIDIA here. Microsoft 15-minute. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think the plays that are good look like Meta towards that weekly expected move. Amazon, doesn't that have some room down? A little bit. Pretty significant amount, actually. Apple's outside of its weekly, right? 70. This could go a little lower, I would think about it. This could go a little lower, I would think about Apple. I don't have ranges for J&J. I'm not trying for NVIDIA. I'm literally putting a hero play, like, you guys, I'm literally putting, like, the one trade I just took with BITO, I'm literally putting like $300 on it. Like, don't think that that's a crazy play by any means, and it's a 2-week out. Not all the time, little AR-15. It's when I see divergence forming. So when I see divergence forming by a weekly expected move, then I can see some kind of bounce is more likely. It's when the momentum's dying out below it. So like on the SPY, we have this divergence that's forming as we approach it. So then I would say it has a good shot to use it as some kind of point for a bounce. But let's say that all of this was happening right here. Let's say all of this was happening like right here and we're trickling up like this, and then we crash down. Okay, that's when it's a little less likely to buy back up to this area. So it's harder to find the bounce once you come down here. So I wouldn't be guaranteeing any kind of bounce. But when you go towards it and you're creating a divergence at the same time, it's a very high likelihood that you get some kind of bounce from this level. So I would like us to actually touch it before I take any trades, really. So I have one fun play with BITO, and that's it. Not trying to do anything crazy. I just made plenty of money today. But see how the Qs are really close to it, creating a 15-minute, even a 30-minute divergence here, right? So that's when I start to pay attention to them really, really close. Loading SQQQ. I would be very careful loading SQQQ as you're going to the bottom side of where the overall, options market has priced in for this week. This is the implied volatility tells you this is where we should not break through. Doesn't mean it can't happen. We can see that bad news and boom, that's when it'll really be a crash. But as of right now, we haven't seen any of that news. We can hold hedges in case. Microsoft? Why would you buy Microsoft puts when you have like possible divergence forming here? I don't have ranges for J&J. I'm sorry, J-dubs. But J&J has that divergence. It looks like there could be a bounce. I mean, there's a gap above you. I would just maybe target that or see how much money you make before you even hit that target and just take some profit. But I don't have ranges for J&J. And I can't just like willy-nilly make them up. I have to do it on, you have to do it on Sunday or on, while the market's closed for the most part. Palo Alto. What the hell are you doing? What is this buying? It's so weird. I mean, this looks like, it looks kind of V-shaped, doesn't it? So you're in positive territory now. If that rolls over, negative trend, maybe you test this low. Maybe you go down towards this important zone. If that continues higher, well, you might be doing cup and handle at the end of the day. Honestly, you might do something like that. Very interesting. What's it look like on the daily? Okay, didn't confirm the downside again. You're above the 200. Okay, if you get a closing bar above the 5 and above the 20, it's looking pretty decent. TLT. I already have a play on this. This is where I saw a bunch of stuff, and that's kind of what I was talking about a few times live. Just like, hey, there's divergence down here on the 30-minute. I still have divergences on the 2-hour, even though that's not necessarily on the MACD. It's just the RSI looks. I'm pretty much playing a bounce here, and you were outside of your weekly expected move. So I found my 3 things, and I said, yeah, I'm going to take a play on this. It screwed me all of last week, and thankfully I found the Apple play, but now I'm going to take a chance on it again. I'm going to play that topside range. I'm not going to do anything crazy. I'm just going to see a pop be out of my little option trade, but I am still holding this at 82.50. How come you don't have ranges for all US stocks? Because I don't have them all uploaded. I calculate them individually, which I just have a spreadsheet for. It's not like I just print 20,000 and just say, here's the range, here's the range, here's the range. First of all, that would drive me insane. Do you know how many of you guys would just ask for a range for every single stock all the time? Carlos, I know, but think about it. Think if I had to create a range for every single stock that someone asked me about. Holy, I would have no life. I'd never see my daughter again. I'd be in front of my spreadsheet all day. AMD just fell out of the monthly. So that's another thing too. We can pay attention to those monthly ranges as well. AMD out of the monthly at this point, and we still have some time left. I really, really want to believe in AMD. I really do. That weekly looks so ugly, though. I really want to, but it just hasn't been that good to me, to be honest. I keep getting stopped out on AMD. Oil took a hit. That's that gold play going down. And look, my AMD would have printed more money. Look at that. SPY, not necessarily, but Apple, no. I'm trying to find the one that looks like good play. Let me look at some ranges for a little bit. Amazon's probably not the one. I'm just going to say that right now. Even though it could bounce, I don't think that's the one. Tesla, that one's negative. I could see a big reaction there. Let's see. Meta. Actually, let's do AMD for a second. AMD outside of the monthly, going towards the weekly. Is AMD still above the 200? I just don't want to jump into anything just yet. I want the next good trade I take, right? I have one that's for BITO, but that's just like that's pretty much just like $300 saying let's bank on Bitcoin just going to 80,000 and BITO just climbing. But oh god, 15-minute. This one's hard, man. It's almost worth like just looking at the overall market and playing the Qs, to be honest. Like 15-minute Qs play here. Maybe we need to take a look at volatility. Yeah, this thing is starting to, it's really not showing too much strength at this point. Still negative on the 30 minutes, so this might be the moment we actually bounce from. The Dow getting a double bottom here. Wow. If that curls up, double bottom could be there. Look for it to break the trend, obviously. Don't want to jump into anything really, really fast, but God, I want to, AMD. I want to, my dude. I frickin' do, but you've been treating me like booty hole for the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and I don't really like that. I don't like that. Yeah, I'm up for the day, but I like to find the positions when the positions look good. I don't know if I'd say bye-bye AMD just yet. But has it given me confirmations to take a trade? Bro, you should... I don't want to sound weird, but you should see my wife. I like booty. Yeah. Maybe I'll just like have my little Bitcoin play and wait for a better time because it just looks a little bit wonky. No trading coin. I'm not going to trade coin. Even though it looks like we could, see Bitcoin rip, but it's just BITO actually showing me divergence that could form. So I'm pretty much saying, hey, I made a good amount of money today. I made 77% on one, 60% on the other. So I'm going to put $300 behind BITO before this halving and see if it can skyrocket to $32 over the next week. Yeah, but there are bounces and corrections too. So you would say like, well, let's look at the SPY. The volatility is higher, so you're going to see price swings. Look at all this downwardness. Okay, now we get a bounce up, then we bounce back down. That's overall what I think is going to happen here. But we did break through this important level here. You see that resistance really coming in. So I'm just saying we have potential, and then we could see that rip down. Remember, the swings are bigger now. Volatility is a little higher. So, and you just want to pay attention to when those things can flip over. Not saying the SPY, I still think the SPY goes to 500. I'm not trying to buy anything. I'm just trying to find a good point to scale into something. AMD is what I'm looking at. It's still above the 200. So it could be a decent play over time, but doesn't that look ugly as hell? It really doesn't look pretty. That's my problem with it. Looks really bad, but I think whatever bounce we get here is probably going to be lower high. The interesting thing is the SPY with a 15, but the VIX doesn't have a 15-minute divergence, really? Maybe it does want to scale up a little bit here. Give us a 30-minute divergence. Yeah, that's what I'm worried about, Mr. Bird. That's why I'm so hesitant. Oh, look, dollar up, money market down. Oh, no. Even Tesla started to give up that move a little bit there. I shouldn't even look at that guy anymore. Maybe Meta looks like an okay play, but the divergence not really on the RSI down here. I don't think these are good plays now. I might be out of this for a little bit. That selling's pretty rough. I'm going to wait for some confirmations of upside before I try to take anything. How's TLT doing? Doing good. Doing good. Yields coming down. Dollar going up. Remember, the dollar 2 hour looked like it was going to cross up. Look, that crosses up, goes positive. We can see another big downward move. Volatility crosses back up. Look at that strong bar on the 2 hour. So when you ignore all the random little time frames, you just look 2 hour going up. Oh, it's 11:05. QQQ actually hit it. There you go. Remember that daily expected move is down there. Oof, Nvidia giving up on that, so it's a good thing nobody was looking at that thing. So we're just looking if there's any kind of setup. We're looking if there's anything to look at here. So we can run through, see if anything looks like a good setup, and then I might have to hop off for a little bit. But we're about to hit the 500 level. Damn, should have held my options. I probably would have made double what I made. No, just kidding. I'm happy making profit, right? That's a good thing. Damn, those are so close together. Close together. Right now. I gotta stop singing. All right, looks like we're gonna go test that 20, and then we'll have to see what happens. So what stocks really got beat up? Did anything really get beat up? Netflix really didn't get that beat up. Netflix having bad earnings would be very, very rough. Google pulling back down. Meta getting pretty beat up here. They just don't look pretty. I think I have to wait for some confirmations because I'm not seeing too much that looks like great. Microsoft looks okay if it can actually get a bounce, but I'm not going to catch anything like this as we approach the bottom side. I'm looking for a reaction up because I'm not trying to lose a bunch of money. So made money today. I have my fun play out there. The still going. Still going. Let's look at Bitcoin to compare that. Ooh, broke 60. Ooh, that's not good. That's bad. This is bad. Oh man, are people getting shaken out before this halving though? That would be interesting. Doge. Aw, Dogecoin. What you doing, brother? Come on now. Oil backing off. Oop. About to hit our trend. Uh-oh, about to hit our trend. Gold. Wow. All right, I've got an idea. I wonder if that does flush. Looks like it might. I don't know. Yeah, this stuff looks crazy. I don't know about gold. All right, let's go watch the Qs. So let's watch the Qs for just a brief moment here. As we're reacting to this level, I'm going to kind of just try to exit here. I got to get off. I didn't realize it was 11:10. I've just been zoned in. Exciting days like this are always a lot of fun. Now, you are still seeing some divergence form on the MACD, not necessarily the RSI at the same time. Remember, selling can escalate from these levels, so be a little bit cautious going forward because it could be a little bit sketchy, right? So we just want to pay attention to any kind of opposite move that can happen. We're still trading like water. We expected that weekly 20 to get tested. We talked about that like a week or two ago, right? We talked about that weekly getting tested. Well, where does that line up to? We can look at the SPY because that one's a little further down. That would be all the way down here. A little less likely for that at that point. I would just like to point that out. Seems a little bit less likely. Now, for the Qs and all that good stuff, we could see a good move up going on into the rest of the week just because we're outside of that monthly and you do have some 30-minute divergence on the MACD, but not on the MACD and RSI. Well, on the 15-minute, you got it. So if we could turn around from this area, it would be pretty good. But we'll have to pay attention to that going forward. Oh, wait, got a subscriber maybe. Hogan Fan 924, thank you for subscribing. Really appreciate you being here. So as we're looking forward, this is the area where we could get a bounce. All right, I just want to point that out. This is that area where we could see some kind of bounce. And I just want to be very clear about that. I'm not saying it has to or anything like that, but it is an area where we could see some bullishness come in. Now, we are seeing bigger moves in the overall market. So if we do see a bounce, look out for points of liquidity. 433, things like that could be pretty big going forward. Alrighty, and let's run through the other guys here. Apple, this one, it's technically showing you a double bottom divergence down here. Be very careful with it. It's still below its daily 200 and things like that. You're not above the moving averages. Just a point in time where we could see things reverse. You just really want to wait for these divergences to confirm. Tesla, this thing could just roll back down into this zone. Tesla and Apple are negative trends on the daily scale still, so be careful with that. Amazon, this one here is not looking bad. Like, this is one that I'm thinking about. But, is it towards that weekly expected move? Is it towards that? Amazon, yes, Amazon, but it's outside of it's actually within its monthly now. It was outside of it, close to being outside of it to the upside up here. So we could see some kind of bounce from Amazon here. Maybe that's one I play with for a little bit. Maybe that's one that I think about. But for now, it looks like a decent one to look at. It's just be a little careful as this could escalate. NVIDIA here, you're seeing the 15-minute divergence, so you do have potential to reverse from here, but you want to see that confirmation. You don't want to mess around as stuff really starts to sell off and those weeklies start to look uglier and uglier. AMD, this is one where I almost bought right here, actually. I really was thinking about buying at this trend line, but that would have been a guess. And I don't want to guess. I did very well today, so I'm going to wait for confirmations to play any kind of upside. And I might just stay away from AMD. This is just chop, and it always ends up going the wrong way or not making a strong move. Meta, this is one to pay attention to. It's really close to that weekly expected move. It is Wednesday, right? So we do have a little bit of opportunity for some time to grab this and go back up from here. Just wanted to point that out. Microsoft, same thing. Same thing. It's approaching that weekly expected move. You're getting a lot of stuff that is going to be cheap on the call side. And as people get more bearish and more bearish and more bearish, that's usually when some kind of bounce happens, right? And they get trapped. So I would just be, if you're bearish, be open to a bounce from here and act accordingly. Take a little bit of profit at these levels, right? Take a little bit of profit, let the rest ride, maybe buy a small hedge or something like that. I would really think that would be a solid setup for you. Volatility, probably the last thing we want to talk about here. Yes, we're seeing it curl up, but we're not fully getting that thing to, come and compete with this high. It kind of took too much time. I think if it would have happened here, boom, we would have seen that spike in volatility. But as of right now, it's just taking a little bit. The 1 hour might even reject the crossing here, which tells me the SPY, right? The SPY might be rejecting this cross here, but now we have those divergences on the hourly. So it's just a good area to see a bounce. Are we bouncing in the Qs? Yes, we are. Look at that. So Solorific says, you guys should take the course. It's very informative. I hope it helps. I really, really do. Market anticipating a correction, and look at that. We buy back up above the weekly expected move for the Qs. Now, that could still keep going. But I'm just telling you because of the stuff I'm seeing, it looks like we could see some kind of bounce. It really does. Now, I still believe that's a dead cat? Yeah, until I'm proven otherwise. Oh yeah, I heard the Iran thing. I'm hearing about nukes now. It's really awful to see. It's really, I don't like people dying anywhere. So shorts are winning right now with the VIX holding Nvidia Techs and SRTY. Yeah, I already sold all my puts. I sold all my shorts. Sold all of them. I sold my VIX calls. I made good money. Ford recalls 450,000 SUVs and trucks over low battery issue. Wow. Middle East going Middle East. Oh, that's... sorry I laughed at that, but that is a pretty... You know, all jokes have a little bit of truth to them. All right, so looking forward, it just doesn't look like the best of. One thing we probably should go over is Netflix, and just remind you guys, the daily here, I just want to show you, it's a point in time where this could really 50-50. I'm not even going to, I know what I feel like is going to happen with Netflix, but I'm not going to guess. I'm not going to put that out there. I'm not going to try to get one of you guys to think I know more than I do and say, you know, oh, short this or long this, because it is a 50-50 flip. You're coming down into the 50, you have support. So that means you have an argument to go up. But you've been pretty up here for a long time. You're starting to lose the moving averages. If you lose the 50, we can start to head down. It's literally a 50-50. Like, right, so if I pull up a 2 hour, right, you're going to see it's pretty close to the center line. So it's literally like, is this a flag and we head up? Okay. Is this head and shoulders and we head down? Okay. So I would pay attention if it breaks this or breaks through this, but I stay away from the earnings, guys. I don't want to, I just don't want to say like, Carla, it's overbought. Okay. It's extremely overbought. That'll convince you, hey, I have to take shorts, and then they post good earnings and you're screwed. So I would just say stay away from it. There's other trade setups to the bull side. And there are some to the downside, but I'm just telling you right now, the Qs with this type of behavior on a 30-minute with some divergence down here, I would just be very cautious because we could see an upward move from here. Higher. The markets has a lot of competence, in my opinion. Honest opinion, Netflix model is lack of growth potential. In my honest opinion, Netflix is, I think all the streaming platforms are stupid. I think all of them are stupid for producing their own movies. Do you know how negative that is making it? And if they did produce their own movies, they should at least charge $5 a pop or something like that to buy it, because they're making no money off of those, you know, Hulu originals. They make nothing out of that. Just so you know, that just gives people stuff to watch. Get ready for the bond auction. Oh, God. Oh, God. Curling up towards the center line. Oh, my God. Are we going to see yields rip? Are we going to see yields rip again? We might. Get fit with Coop. I like it. Getting fit out there. Take care of your body, guys. Get out there moving. We're sitting in a chair all day. That's not good. I believe it's at noon. What can TLT go down to? Well, if you're going from weekly ranges, it's like, you know, when you're seeing the yields move like this, the ranges for TLT a little rough. But I would say if it continues down, we'd most likely just see it test this low again. Seeing the yields come up and test this high. If it breaks through there, you can just expect lower. We wanted to go daily scale to find some supports in here, you'd say you're pretty much right at the only support level you can find right in this area. Now, I do have this box drawn down here. This would be a gap fill. Maybe that wants to happen before we see any kind of, you know, what am I trying to say? Any kind of sustained bounce. But from here, you can see it can get some kind of reaction from this level. We're at the bottom here, so we'll have to see. But bond auctions, they've been very, very bad. No one wants these bonds. Feel like I feel the same way, Sahan. I feel the same way. I'm just being honest. I think if Netflix mentions anything about profits suffering, people not paying, anything like that, it can get very ugly. So I'll be a little bit both ways by the end of the day, most likely. I'll be playing some upside for some divergence, but I'll have, I'll have some kind of hedge against those that I can sell out of other positions in the morning. Goes up, goes down. I'm going to say it goes up, but I would take that with a big grain of salt. So the better way to put it is, do I think the market will go up for the next 2 days? I would say if you can confirm a divergence here, there is a good probability to see upside. If you can complete a divergence and confirm that divergence down here, even on the 15-minute, I think you have a good shot that at least tomorrow you see a green day. Yeah, so that's Sahan, kind of similar to this. Bonds are the wartime way of supporting the USA. We need bonds to rise. Exactly, but the bond auctions are doing terrible. Unless we superficially buy it back up ourselves or some, But I'm worried about all that stuff. But overall, I'm just trying to trade these signals right now. The Q's outside of that weekly on a Wednesday. That just tells me, okay, we can see a 68% chance to end up in this level. But we also could be targeting this daily expected move. I don't think we've touched the Q. Let's see if we've touched that weekly 20. We haven't even touched it. We got to go a little bit lower. So you could go a little bit lower before these things actually bounce. Nobody wants the USD anymore. That's pretty true too. I think in wartime that might change a little bit. Demand for USD might actually go up a little. Just because, like, what else are you really going to use? What, like bricks or something? I don't know. Like, what are you going to use? Yen? All right, guys, but I think that's a good place to stop for the day. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I really, really do. I think that we have some good opportunities here. We just have to be a little careful. I think it's a good time to be like, hey, we're being kind of contrarian, right? I'm saying we're most likely going to see some kind of bounce according to the probabilities, but we just want to keep those stops in place. So where's my stop going to be? I'm probably going to put it around that 20-week moving average, anything like that. But I just think it's a time to be cautious, but it's a time where we could bounce. We really, really could. And I know that's crazy to say, but it's a time where things could escalate as well. So we're just going to keep trading like water. It's kind of like a play one side, but hedge that side. Play this side, hedge the other side. That's kind of how I'm doing it, and it's been working really well for a couple of weeks. I sold out of all of my hedges for any upside, sold my puts, then got back into some like 1 or 2 calls on some stuff, but I'm not doing any crazy plays. I think all I have invested today is like maybe $500, which is small. That is small. So I'm keeping it very, very tight. As I made good money today, I'm not trying to do anything crazy. Just maybe take a play, see if we can make a little more by the end of the week. All right, guys. Hopefully you guys were able to, learn something with the video. We heard some people talking about the course. The course is down below if you want to go grab that. Very good information in a bear market strategy as we're seeing volatility climb higher. Join the Patreon to get some weekly ranges if you want to pay attention to those stocks. And in the course, you'll actually learn how to make weekly ranges as well. I really appreciate you guys coming by. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. Thank you for always being nice, learning, asking questions. It is always awesome. I wish you guys all the luck in the world trading for the rest of the day. And I hope you have a great rest of your day until I see you on YouTube later. Peace.